Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Professor Spira, and welcome to our Mucus-free Life LLC live meetup. This is, I think, the third of these larger meetups that we've done, and it's been quite some time. But I'm very happy to be here with yet another wonderful panel of Mucusless Diet Healing System practitioners and folks that are very knowledgeable about plant-based living and this whole process of transitioning the transition diet. And just to give a quick overview, a lot of you already know, but the Mucusless Diet Healing System is a healing system that is based around using natural means to cleanse oneself and heal oneself using things like mucus-free foods. And what kind of foods create mucus? Well, these are going to be the foods that create slimy mess inside your body. Things like dead animal products, starches, fats, grains, all of those good things are mucus forming. Of course, though, the transition diet and understanding which foods are better and worse than one another is important, because you don't just get off of eating mucus forming foods overnight. You have to be kind of strategic and about saying, okay, let's put the chicken down, let's not eat that, and let's eat something else that's not as bad as that chicken. And so once you start to understand and experience the transition in the process, then you can really uh, uh, it becomes self-evident, and you know what things are going to give you problems down the road and what things are going to make you feel good. But of course, there is quite a bit of reparations that we have to pay. We have to, spend some time cleaning ourselves up. But yeah, so I want to welcome all of our great panelists here, and I want to go down the line and introduce everybody, and have everyone kind of just say who they are and where they're coming from and how they got into the mucusless diet. And so let's start with Tony. A lot of you guys know Tony has seen me on or seen him on some of my videos and all that good stuff. So introduce yourself.
Hey, greetings everybody. My name is Tony Bolivi, and I'm located here in Michigan, in a town called Ann Arbor. Going on, I'm on my third year practicing the mucusless diet, like mid third year, and yeah, just really enjoying the process and enjoying all the doors that it opens for me, on the healing levels, not just on my body, but also working on my mind, spirit, and such like that, and getting in touch with nature, and like opening up to a natural life. That's just what I really enjoy. So happy to be here with all you guys.
Yeah, all right. So let's move down the line here, and let's talk to Brittany. Introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Brittany Johnson, and yeah, I'm coming from Virginia. I've been practicing mucusless for really about a year now. Still kind of doing transition here and there, but yeah, I really love the simplicity of it and just how it's really changed my perspective of the body and my relationship to nature. So yeah, looking forward to being on the panel. Thanks.
All right, great. So let's turn it over to Israel. Introduce yourself.
Hey, greetings everyone. My name is Israel Flores, Israel de la Garza. I live in Mexico, Monterrey, Mexico. It's quite a large city in Mexico. It's, I think, like the second largest city. Um, I found out about the diet around last year or like 1 year ago, and it was after I was on after being on a raw foods diet for about 2.5 years. I was like many of you know because I posted on the group that I was on the like 30 bananas a day thing and 80-10-10 diet, but it wasn't working. I was feeling not too good from the overeating of fruit. So I don't know. I just one day I found out about Brother Air and his fast, and I just typed mucusless, found your channel, and Tony's as well. Both were very, very useful, and I learned a lot. And I actually remember contacting Tony and like connecting with him through YouTube and asking like, "Hey Tony, like, how do you eat? Like, why don't you eat big quantities of fruit, man? Like, this is like fruit is the best food. Like, what? Why don't you? Why do you restrict yourself?" And he tried explaining to me, but my mind just wasn't like comprehending what was going on, and I needed some time to like consider the system. So one day I finally like I tried to fit the mucus diet. I read the PDF. I didn't have the book. I tried to fit it into the raw foods diet because I didn't want to live my raw foods years. Like my ego was like, no, 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 you have been on the raw foods for 2.5 years. Why will you live like I want to say I've been raw for 10 years, 15 years, and I don't need cooked food and all of that good stuff. And a part of that was Dan McDonald's like inspiration. You know, he was like raw foods, raw living foods, raw culture foods, and so I read the book. I finally got it because I was overeating on avocados and olive oil. It was a mess, man. So I read the book. I understood that the cooked foods were a part of the a rational transition, and sometimes you don't have to go running, you have to go slower and steady, and like Brother Erwan stated, maybe like crawling. You This is like a crawling process. So I took a step back to cooked fruits, stewed fruits, mainly baked bananas and apples, stewed apples. So things are going fine, man. It's been quite a journey, and thanks to the help from all of you guys, I've been learning, expanding my knowledge, and sharing with all my relatives and all my friends down here. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate the invitation, Spira. Peace, man.
All right. Thank you, Israel. And of course, Israel is currently working on a translation of the annotated Mucusless Diet into Spanish.
Yeah,
And
man.
real excited about that.
Me too,
And
man.
so all right. So let's see. Let's visit uh, Teiva. How you doing? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Teiva. I come from Guam and I live in the village of Inarajan. It's a pretty rural area. I came here after living almost a decade in New York City. I went to college and I worked on Wall Street for a while. So I'm sure you can imagine that by the time I came home I was really sick. I was very fatigued and I had all these symptoms. I didn't know what was causing it. But in New York, I was fortunate to know, to have friends who became vegan and raw vegan. They introduced me to raw veganism. So I tried it out, and I tried 80-10-10. I've tried different things. I've dabbled in fruitarianism for 3 to 4 months until I had a really bad healing crisis. And when that happened, I didn't know what to do. And I looked online and I was like, what's happening to me? And I saw all of this misinformation regarding fruit. So I went on an all greens diet. And I did this until before I was pregnant. And when I was pregnant, I guess I also believed what my midwives were telling me. that I needed like salmon, I needed all these other things. So I have allergic reactions to meat and to other foods. I'm very sensitive, but I ate that food throughout, like I'd say, 2 of the trimesters of my pregnancy, and I got even worse. Like my health deteriorated. So it wasn't until my baby was vaccinated at 2 months and I saw how she reacted to it that I said, I'm going to research. I prayed a lot about it, and I said, show me the way. And one night I found Dr. Robert Morris, and it was through Dr. Morris's videos, his book, and his group that I actually I read a lot. I was following it, and I found some posts that led me to the Arnold Ehret page, and that's how I found Ehret. So I read the book, and actually it was my daughter that led me to the transition, because I tried to do like 3 months 100% fruit, and my daughter started to reject fruit. I mean, she preferred greens, so she would eat fruit in the morning, but then there was a time when she didn't want to take certain fruits. So I said, well, I want to still give her fruit, but I need to find another way that she will eat it. So I started to stew the fruits, and I realized, well, this is what Ehret was teaching. I might as well go through the transition as well with her, because this is what she's telling me she wants. I'm still on fruit, but I still allow myself to take a step back and eat something cooked. And that's pretty much how I got here.
Yeah, all right. Definitely welcome, and look forward to talking some more with you about your experiences and things that you've gone through. And let's talk to Danessa. How you doing?
Oh, hi. Sorry, so you pronounced my name differently, and then I didn't get it. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so tell me how should I pronounce it?
Whatever you want, it's okay. But
Oh,
it's
okay.
Denise. And so then
Okay,
when I
Denise.
heard
Okay.
Danessa, I was like, oh, there's somebody like me. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Let's try to make the story short. I've tried like almost every diet that exists, like you name it, like the blood type diet, Ayurveda, vegan, raw vegan, but always felt that I was not at my optimal level, and that's why I kept moving forward. And then when I started to read Ehret, I understood many things, and then I understood the eliminations and all this, and when you have this understanding, when it happens, you are tranquil because you know why it's happening, and then you just keep moving forward. And well, for me, what I'm doing right now is something that between friends, I call it the meal plan because it has an order. Has worked better for me so far. Like I have like first meal of the day is fresh fruit, and then my second meal I move on to sweeter fruit, more denser, and then I want something more liquid, more like citrus, and then I have a salad. If I try to do all fruit, it's just like maybe it's too much of an elimination or lack of minerals. It doesn't work for me. And if I do only greens, I don't have enough energy. And so this way, I found to do it. I tried then the non-breakfast plan of Ehret, but then I found out that maybe it's more for people who are coming from a meat-eating background, because I started to drop weight. Like in a month, I dropped like 10 pounds, and I went back to taking my fruit breakfast, and now I'm on my optimal way again. And that's where we are at now.
All right. Welcome, and let's talk to Celia. Greetings.
Hi there, Professor, and everybody else. So, I guess my story is just dealing with the truth. My husband gave me the book to read out of the blue probably over 13 years ago. I don't know why he gave it to me, but I'm reading it, and I just no way. I just almost threw the book. And this is ridiculous. Come on. I mean, my whole life, I have eaten everything that everybody else in the United States eats. You know, just, I couldn't comprehend this. I just couldn't. I probably read about 90% of it. I didn't underline and highlight like I usually do when I read books, but just the first reading is like, no way. I had 3 kids in diapers at the time, and there was no way I was ready for that kind of change. And I also didn't feel any need to physically at that time to do it. So fast forward, just like about 3 years ago, I happened to watch a movie on Netflix and just got to hear about what happens to our food, how they process it, and I was just horrified. This was all news to me. So then I just started watching tons of movies about food and health, and watched Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, got a juicer, and it came with a recipe book. And, you know, for beautiful hair, do this. For beautiful skin, do this. And my friend said, hey, this one's for cellulite. And I said, what? Because, you know, that is something I've had. And I was like, okay, so what does that say? And it said, it was basically citrus, oranges, grapefruit, lemons. And there's something down at the bottom, I don't remember what, but it said something that led me to look up something on the internet. So I just start looking and looking, and this word mucus pops up. Mucus, I've heard that word before. That book. Oh no. So I started looking all over for this book because my husband used to own a bookstore, so we have books everywhere, and I just kept looking and looking and found that book. So now I'm thinking, well, first before I started reading the book, I learned what cellulite is, and it is mucus trapped in the lymph system. And I found this after looking at medical stuff and all this, and I'm like, well, why don't they just tell you? Why do people say it's just fat? It's not. It's mucus trapped in the lymph system. So now I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So I'm reading Arnold Ehret's book, and I'm underlining, and I'm highlighting, and I'm rereading. And I'm like, why don't they just tell you this? You know? But I had drawn a connection, you know. I just like, you know, and everything just started, there was a little bit of truth I made a connection with, and then I just started building and building and building. And so that was about 3 years ago. And then, my transition, I guess, first started with my brain because I wasn't ready to make the changes yet, but I just started filling my mind with this knowledge. And because I've lived a long life, and I had a lot to change, a lot of habits, a lot of history, a lot of culture ideas, a lot of everything. Because my life has been around food. My mom was a great cook, and she was amazing, and my brother is a chef or was a chef, and I've, you know, cooked. So I had a lot to overcome. And then, basically I've been a year and a half vegan, no meat, no dairy, all of that, and just slowly just transitioning, mucus lean, mucus less, you know, the fruit and the juice fasting and all this. So I would say 3 years ago is when I really started learning, when I watched that movie and got the book, and then a year and a half into this. So got a lot longer to go, but what I'm really so excited about is just giving little bits of this information to my kids, because I brought them up this way. You know, I taught them this, how to eat wrong and how to love eating wrong. And so I was just on this mission to just, you know, not bombard them like with all this information too much at a time, because I wanted to really create for them a desire and make a connection. So I just tell them things about, you know, about what this does, and did you know they do this, and just give them little bits here and there, and they said, yeah, and so I would say we're all on different levels of transitioning. And my my son that's at home, I'd say he's probably like about 80% vegan now, and one of my daughters is probably like 90% vegan, and the other one probably 95% vegan. So they're all, you know, into juices and salads, and so, and my husband as well. He's probably like 95% vegan. And so I just, you know, keep leading the way and keep leading the way as a mom. You know, there's just, we have that responsibility, you know, that heavy responsibility to teach our kids and bring them up and make a difference for our grandkids.
Definitely, and I really, really appreciate you being here, and definitely look forward to hearing more of your story and all the mothers here. I mean, this is an unprecedented event right now, as we have a lot of mothers that are here that will be able to talk about the Mucusless Diet Healing System and experiences and with for raising a child on the diet, and or might have questions for other folks that maybe have been doing it longer, and so I'm personally real excited about that. Let's turn it over to Tobin. What's going on, Tobin?
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Tobin, and first introduced to the Mucusless Diet Healing System through Professor Spira's website, Mucus-free Life, and before that I was into, I would say that this whole path, and I think everybody can relate with this, kind of comes about intuitively, and you sort of just come to these realizations on your own by the food you're eating, and you realize like what is good for you and what isn't, and you feel the kind of the changes. And yeah, I mean, I was into like the raw food thing, and I wasn't really I wasn't actually practicing it. I was just kind of into it, like Day in the Life Regenerator, and 80-10-10, and then I don't know, I discovered the Mucusless Diet Healing System, and it just clicked. It just makes more sense. I think what differs from this is that it's not dogmatic. It's not 100% overnight change. And yeah, I mean, it's not like, because like every raw food I heard was just how to be 100% overnight, which just doesn't work. And and then I discovered this. It's like, okay, this is the most rational thing there is, and it's not about being 100% overnight, and it's about transitioning where you're at and working with your physiology. So, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So all right, and Tobin's a lyricist. He's been inspired to do some mucusless poetry and rapping, and so yeah, I'm sure. I just posted a video. If you haven't seen it yet, go to my YouTube channel and check that out. We kind of that's something I'm real, like a little pet project of mine, is to really talk about the arts within the context of the Mucusless diet and bring that level of sensitivity and understanding. The artistic process, I think, is really what's needed, because when I look at different plant-based communities, it's almost like each community is kind of defined by various aspects. Some communities it might be athletics, and everybody tries to run marathons every day, and there's you know, that's cool if that's your thing, ride bikes all over the place and stuff. That's cool, but there's a certain attitude that goes along with that. Then you have people that are real into sort of the scientific analysis, where they're all real into the nutrients and the vitamins and all these theories and stuff. But I don't know any of the groups that are really deeply into the art, you know, concept of art and artistry, and where there's just a community of people that really think, you know, on that artistic level. And to me, that's the people. There are then, I guess another group would be kind of the like spiritualists that sort of their talk about what they do revolve around that. And to me, the art, I don't know, I guess art is a form of spirituality for me, I guess, you know, and that's why. But just that process and what that represents is real important to me. So I look at everybody that practices a Mucusless diet seriously is artists, because that's you have to be. This isn't a science in the sense of, okay, this is you got to do this and you eat this and you do exactly 100,000 calories today, and it's like, no, this is very nuanced and is very specific to each individual person's physiology. And so I think we have one more person to meet, and it's Jamie. What's going on?
Hi. Can you guys hear me and see me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my name is Jamie, and I'm here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's good to finally be here with all of you and see you live chat. But yeah, so how I got into the diet, I was actually in Florida, and it was in 2014 in April. And I was looking into dry fasting, and I was really into the whole fasting aspect before I even found mucusless foods. And so, yeah, I tried a little bit of that here and there. And after that, I started Googling mucus-forming foods, because I've always had trouble digesting mucus and dairy milk products. Ever since I was a baby, I wasn't breastfed, so I was put on soy formula, and then I was transitioned into eating or having the cow milk as a kid, and then so on. But every time I would have the cow milk, I would cough for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour afterward. So then I stayed with that issue throughout the years, and you know, I just decided to look up mucus-forming foods, and that's when, like, I went to Google and I typed in mucus-forming foods, and your website came up as like the first one. So then I found your site and the list and the group, and you know, it was great to find something that I could kind of use, and the book was amazing, the Eric book. And I have your book now, and I'm working on it, like reading it more and more. It's great from what I've read. So yeah, I think that's about it here. Just trying to research health and, you know, be vital.
Yeah, all right. Well, welcome, and definitely appreciate you being here. And so, first thing I'd like to talk about is, I already kind of preface this a little bit. We have a lot of mothers here, and I would love to hear from some of the mothers what you know, what are some of the challenges? You know, are your children on the mucusless diet and transitioning, or is there other issues involved where they're kind of doing something else and you're practicing the diet? You know, just, you know, let's get into that a little bit. And I'm not sure who wants to speak up first. I saw on Brittany's, I saw a little child there for a moment, so maybe we could ask Brittany first.
Yeah.
What's going on in that arena?
Quinn, he's well, see, I was all fruit when I was living in California about 3 years ago. Found Dr. Morse too, and like someone else mentioned, you get scared by the midwives. Yeah. So challenges, I'd say being prepared is like one of the biggest challenges, you know, because like your kids are hungry and you just like they want something to eat, so just like carrying around, you know, fruit, bananas, apples, with you at all times. And not only for them, but for me too, because that's like when I've become more aware that I'm an emotional eater. So, yeah, just to like have things that don't give me excuses, you know. And he is not fully, I mean, he is transitioning, but then I moved here to be closer to family to get help, you know, raising a child. It's a lot of work. And and my family, you know, they're the type where like they've been around me long enough that they know what I'm into, and but still my mom's like, you know, fruits and veggies aren't enough. So she likes to make him like quinoa or some other grains or something, but I'm working on her, so yeah.
Are those some of the transitional, as I was going to ask that, what are some of the like the transitional mucuses that are used with the children?
Yeah, well, we do, you know, we do popcorn and more of the quinoa. I like to stay away from rice. I mean, I feel like quinoa is a little better. He does some ancient grains like noodles and things like that. He doesn't really like greens, so it's kind of challenging. Like if it's green, he doesn't like it. So yeah, but we do a lot of bananas, banana milk, banana ice cream, banana smoothies with like all different sorts of berries, you know. Banana smoothies, yeah. Yeah, but he's like not. There was a time, because my dad, I mean, he eats meat, and so there was a time where Quinn was like wanting to eat chicken, which I found very odd. So I was like, "Are you sure you want to eat chicken?" Like I showed him a picture of a chicken. I was like, "You want to eat that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then I don't know.
What, like a live chicken or a cooked chicken?
Yeah, I did. I showed him a live chicken, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to eat that." And he's 3, so I was like, "How about I show you a little video from my friend?" And I don't know if you heard of Erin Janice, but she's made this video on you know, this telephone call that it was like a 911 dispatcher got on like a bird, a chicken, crossing the road in like some northwestern state. And it was just kind of humorous about how like all traffic like backed up, you know, to like not kill this chicken. And her point was, you know, if I went out into the street and just like murdered that chicken in front of everyone, then that would be like an uproar. But yet, like, since it's behind closed doors, then you got it. Good job. Then it's like, okay, you know. So I showed him this video of how chickens are killed. And it might have been not acceptable for some people, but I just wanted to know, like, that's what's real. Like, that's how it is, and you I mean, I feel like it's important to know before you just consume, without that consciousness.
Yeah, no, that's real. I mean, that's some revolutionary kind of stuff, because I thought about that myself, because I use that as a part of my methodology. Sometimes if I'm working with people personally over a period of time, and I introduce them into the Mucusless diet, I wait until they've sort of, you know, read the book and understand everything, and have a desire to want to be mucusless, but they might still have a little bit of addiction to meat left in them. And then that's when I break out the PETA videos and the Meet Your Meat video, and and all that kind of stuff. And it's timing. You know, I never lead with that kind of stuff, and that's where I would be real different from a lot of the the sort of the hardcore, like the vegan activist minded type of folks. And I'm on board, but I think that there's when you're talking about the mucusless diet, there's a methodology and a tactfulness that can be involved in terms of how you don't want to come across as being whatever, because even when you're just talking about I'm a vegan, then all of a sudden a lot of people start putting you in a box saying, oh, well, you think you're better than us and all that kind of stuff. And it's like nah, I used to eat just like that. I'm just saying this is just how I live and this is what feels good to me. But they don't get that, and so sometimes it takes a little bit of tactfulness there. But now, did you notice any? Do you notice any difference between when they eat mucus-forming foods and when they're being more mucus-free? Is there a difference in the way that they act or anything?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I saw the pain in your eyes with that, like.
It's ridiculous, you know. It's so fat. You can see it so quickly too. When I have him and I'm able to kind of, influence what he's, what's available to consume. We do a lot of foraging too, and I feel like that's one of the best things for me in my life is I'm able to introduce them to these wild foods and foraging, but and it just kind of takes it to the next level. You know where your stuff's coming from, and but yeah, when he stays with my family for a few days, or just gets it just gets wild. Like his energy is so much more, and he's an Aries too, so I mean he's got lots of fire, and he just likes to tell you what's up. So it's parenthood is one of the greatest teachers, that's for sure. I just want to say though too, that chicken video did work. He's not into eating chicken now, so
yeah, nice, yeah.
But it is really wild, and I am in a group on Facebook. It's a really small group, but it's I was added recently. It's on they're mostly focused on 80-10-10, but it's a group for healing children with pandas and other neurological autism. I didn't even know what pandas was until I joined this group, but they're having a lot of success going to 80-10-10 and fruit. They're finding their children go from a lot of tantrums and outrages to much more calm children, and I think that's a really good testimony. But I have reached out to the group and posted this video, so hopefully some of them are watching, because I do feel like that's something that happens. A lot of us have done 80-10-10, and it's really important to transition.
Yeah, definitely. And so I see another little one here, and Teiva. Let's hear from you a little bit about your experiences.
Well, I agree with Brittany that my biggest challenge for a while getting started was it was not only myself, but it was my family, because for one, we're dealing with our own addictions when we transition and we stop eating, all the mucus-forming food. So I was dealing with that, and on top of that, my family, completely well-meaning and very lovingly, they want to give her, things like eggs and rice and stuff. So it took me a while, but now they're seeing the benefit of this diet. And I know my parents, they've seen how she, my mom's a teacher, so she sees a lot of kids out there, and she deals with a lot of young people, and she sees that Wasali here, my 13-month-old, that she's she's very quick, she's just different. And so my parents, they definitely respect my decision now. At first, it was a lot of arguing that vegetables or fruit are not enough for a growing child. But then, as time passed, they now really respect it, and they're telling their friends about it. And so now people are coming to me and saying, well, I heard you only feed her fruits and vegetables. So she is definitely, she's on the mucusless diet, unless, like, I know the other day my mom gave her bread, whole grain bread with cream cheese, and that really, that made me upset. But I had to just let her know that it's better, you know, it's better to give her something that's healthy than to just feed her. And I know the response was, well, a little can't hurt, but I told her that it does hurt. So it's definitely been a struggle, but I'm at a point now where it's better. It's a lot better. So, and I'm dealing with my own transition too. So just being prepared every day is a huge thing. Yeah. I make sure I prepare, like, whenever she's napping, and so I'm always on the go, and I'm the only one that does all the food preparation. So that's a bit, I mean, if you're not just eating like the raw fruits, then it can also involve extra time, and she's still so young that she wants me to carry her a lot. Another thing that has been a bit of a challenge is that I still breastfeed her, and I made that decision to continue to breastfeed her because she didn't want to go on anything like fruit juices. I know were something that Dr. Morse recommended in the beginning, and so she didn't really want to take any of that. So I had to make the decision to breastfeed her while I'm also on the diet. But I felt like it was one of the toughest decisions that I made to get on this system, because a lot of people were afraid for me. They were saying, well, you know, detoxing is not good. All of those issues with detoxing while nursing. But I guess my reasoning was that come here. My reasoning was that it's better to feed her mucusless or mucus lean foods while she's growing up, rather than continue on the path that we were on. So that was why I decided to do this anyway, regardless of whatever people thought.
Definitely.
So
and that's real, because that's, I mean, this is history making. I mean, this is we are the pioneers. People practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System are the pioneers of the next level of humanity. I mean, just as Brother Air says, let's put this mucus and pus reality into the dustbin of history, and let's move into something that's much more rational, that's much less painful, and you know, and overcome these addictions. And with the child, you know, and Brother Air had always said that there's a lot of, he had noticed that there would be a lot of women that practice a diet, but they would get a bit, they would be a little bit scared to really put their child on the diet, you know, and they would, and a lot of that other stuff would come in, you know, the supplement thinking and the vitamin thinking, and you know, it's just because that had been drilled into them for so long that would kind of come back around, and they would kind of have their child on a total different thing than what they're doing. And so I you know, definitely commend those of you that are doing what it takes. And as you said, it can be a challenge with the family, trying to deal with the family issues and trying to explain to them. And so you said that your family is now starting to kind of, because they've seen the changes and the benefits, and they're starting to kind of open up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of it, I mean, I know comparing, I don't like to compare, especially people, but my parents, when they go out and they see other babies her age, and they're being fed like formula, or their mother's diet, it's like a lot of junk foods, they see a difference. And so at first there was this urge for me to go back to work and put her in a daycare. But I told my parents that it's a sacrifice I'm making for me to just be here. It's not even a sacrifice, really, because her health is everything to me. And in the book it says that something to the effect that the greatest moral duty that someone can do is raise a perfectly healthy being. And so that is my most important goal right now, is to make sure that she's completely cleansed, and I am as well, that we're able to get away from mucus-forming foods. And I think we've been able to do that because their mango season basically just passed here. We had a storm that knocked down a lot of our mangoes, but they were already ripe by that time. So I basically froze everything. And then we were eating mango for like a whole month. So it was like mango for breakfast, lunch, and dinner was, for me, a salad, and for her, she usually has like maybe 1 or 2 like cooked vegetables with a sweet potato. And that really helped. That really helped me because I had been struggling here and there with meat cravings, and I was able to get off of that. And so for a time I was doing coconut water before that, when I was first getting on this, and then I said, okay, I'm going to do this mango thing, mango pretty much every day. And I went to a party recently, and I wasn't even tempted to go to, here we have huge fiestas, and the tables like lined up with all of this terrible food. Delicious, I would say, in the past, but it's pretty, like, by the time I went there, I just was not even really hungry. But then I said, okay, I just hit the salad bar. I just hit the salad section. And that was the first time I ever did that, completely not caring about any of the specialty dishes that they had made. So I was pretty proud of that I was able to overcome that addiction.
Yeah, that's great. Now let's talk to Jamie. I think you have some children, don't you, too?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, that's actually not my daughter.
Or is that not your? Okay.
It's my niece.
Yeah.
But I take care of her sometimes, so I guess you could call her like a daughter. Yeah. I did want to say that my sister, she had a demanding schedule after her pregnancy, and she had to report back to she's in the Coast Guard. She was in the Coast Guard, but she had to report back. And even when she had her time off, she was having a tough time producing. She wasn't producing a lot of breast milk, and so she would breastfeed a little bit of what she could, and then she had to automatically just put her on the formula. And I wish she could have been able to keep breastfeeding since none of us were, and I've got 2 brothers and 2 sisters. I just think it's so much more natural. But yeah, so to say some more stuff about Sailor, her name is Sailor. I see my sister transitioning her. She went from, she's like a 1.5 years old now, and she went from doing the formula to doing the fruit baby foods, and
Mm.
from that to the fruit baby foods that have the vegetables or the grain cereals mixed in. And even now, I think she's giving her what is it? She's just feeding her food. So if she's out and she orders something that's soft like beans or you know, she gives her cheese, and she might even give her meat. And I think her dad, when she's with her dad, he feeds her whatever. Who knows what he's feeding her? But I just start thinking, you know, like I can't tell my sister what to do. I can't. It's her daughter, and I've, you know, hinted and made little comments about, oh, you should have kept her on the formula for a while longer, like kept her liquid, let her be a liquidarian for a while, and before you transition her so fast. I just see, you know, when she was, I mean, she's been getting like chronic constipation. Her little tummy was looking like a bowling ball. One day it was, yeah. So I tried. I mean, she would cry, and my sister would have to give her baby suppositories and other things. And she's so little, and you know, I just don't think she should be getting the constipation so quickly. And I just don't think it would have happened if she's not eating anything and everything from both of them. But if she was in my care, like just mine, I know what I would have done. So I would have left her on the liquids a lot longer, and you know, something of the sort. Not really introduce the grains so quickly.
Yeah.
So that's my story with, you know, what I've seen with a child, the transition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting, and you hit on a point that I like to make that it clear that transition is natural. I don't really understand some of these debates that folks get into where they either have this concept of, well, how long does it take to transition, or what's this, and I don't have to transition. It's like transition is life. This whole thing can be called transition. And when you look at a child and the way that they go from first breathing, number one, they come out the womb, and what do? They take a breath. Then eventually you get into, like you said, the liquidarian levels. And then you transition further, and you get into, you know, the juices and things, and then maybe you get into some, which would, I guess, in the past, before the advent of blenders and things that would create purees, I would imagine that the pre-chewed food stage. So a mother might pre-chew a food and then feed the child with that. Now we have blenders that we can puree things, you know, and then on up into solid foods, and what always fascinated me when I really analyzed that was just the way that children are transitioned in the Mucus and Pus Society. Children are transitioned into being able to withstand a filthy diet, because you couldn't take a child that had been raised on Mucusless diet and fruit and then just say, okay, go down to Hardee's or Burger King or a fast food joint and eat a burger. It is going to make them totally sick. Depending on how clean they are, it might kill them. But if you know, like with those formulas, anybody that takes a look, I dare anybody, go look at what's in those formulas. Like, read this stuff on those labels and see how many of those words you can first even pronounce. Second, know what it is high phosphatate glyceride, blah blah blah. It's like, and so over time you get to a point where if you're on that kind of stuff, and then it's just natural for the parent to give the child whatever that they have, and start getting them into a diet pattern that's similar to theirs. It makes total sense that we have the situation that we have now. But what's starting to happen more and more is, because children are kind of a fraction of a fraction, as Brother Air would say, they are much more. Many of them are becoming much more sensitive to pus and mucus forming foods. They can't handle it like generations past, where I didn't handle it well, but I handle it better than a lot of other generations that I see. And so that's when, you know, we're getting this obesity epidemic. We get, I mean, just it's crazy. But the main thing is looking at all those issues through the filter of the Mucusless Diet Healing System, and that is the difference, you know, where you can see you can see that difference. But I want to do you have another comment to add? Oh, okay.
Good.
Okay, it looked like you were about to say something, but so what I wanted to do was kind of open it up to everybody. If some of the other folks, if you have questions for some of the folks, or if there's other mothers out there that are that want to chime in, because I don't know everybody's situation, but just wanted to kind of open it up if anybody has a question or a comment or anything involving motherhood and the Mucusless diet.
Okay, I have a comment, Professor Spira. It is that when you have, I know that vitamins and nutrients and all this, it's a little bit of meaningless, but this is after you have the knowledge of what the mucusless diet system is and elimination is. But before that stage, it's useful to talking to people, because when people start questioning, like, oh, are your kids eating like you? And you say yes, and so they get worried. And I say, okay, but if my kids were eating sausages and white bread, nobody will be worried. But you know what there is there? Do you know? Because people say, and where do you get the protein? And I said, okay, do you know what protein is? Do you know how much do you get? And they have no idea. And then you say the word, what is a programming? You say the word calcium, and they think instantly dairy. You say the word omega-3, and they think instantly fish. But you say, do you know that 2 big mangoes have all the omega-3 you need in a day? Did you know that? And they are surprised. You say, you don't need to eat fish or fish oil for omega-3. And then like the body takes the alpha-linolenic acid and it produces the DHA and EPA. It does that, And so this is the advantage to have that, that information, so that when family or close friends start to worry about your health or your kids, you can have a base and tell them, I'm having more amino acids and more vitamins and more everything than anybody in this room. So and without arguing, but just to reassure them, like, don't worry, everything is fine. Like, you see, she never gets colds. She's never been to the hospital in an emergency. She never gets diarrhea. She never gets anything that all the other kids are getting, or eczema, or it's like, and then they kind of open their eyes, like, wow, you're right. She looks different. She's not. But when they see kids all the time with the mucus in their noses and eating cookies and drinking milk, nobody worries. And so,
right.
No, but really, seriously.
Yeah.
And so it's like they calm down when you have few facts. The people really calm down, and then when they see you, like, I'm not preaching everybody, I just do it myself. And then when they see, like, they say, what do you do for your skin? How come your skin, like, your legs are shiny? Or I said, it's the fruits and and the grains. And they don't believe it. No, tell me, what cream are you putting? What's the oil? And I said, no, really, it has to come from the inside out for everything, And so after a while, like, maybe it doesn't click in the same moment, but after a while they come and I say, I'm really interested, I would like to do it. Or even somebody I met 2 weeks ago, and he said, I really want to do this, and I almost didn't believe it, And then in 2 weeks, I saw him yesterday, and he said, it's been 2 weeks, and I saw his eyes shining, literally, and his skin, and he didn't have, before he had a very strong body odor because he's Italian and with all the sausages and salami and this stuff. very strong, and he smelled nothing, just nothing. Like he was sweating because it's hot here, and he smelled fresh. So
Mm-hmm.
he was so happy, and he said, "Well, you know, maybe one day we'll eat again a pizza because I'm Italian, but I know that my day today is going to be this, you know."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you know, it really works, and just by doing it yourself, like people start asking, and I don't mention the word vegan, I don't mention the word mucus, I don't mention any word. I just,
Mm.
when they ask me what do you do, I say, you know, this is the way I do it, it's fresh fruits and vegetables, and you know, do it as much as you can, and in this order, because otherwise, I give an idea of the order and the quantities because otherwise they will have no idea because of the programming of seeing fruits and vegetables as a side or as a snack. So then they will say, oh, you know, I felt weak or something like that because they ate only one apple or so that's how I've been doing it, you know, just to explain more or less the quantity that make it your main meal, that you feel full, that you feel satisfied, and most of the time it works. People do it and
Mm-hmm.
then they come back very happy, you know, to share it. So that's what I wanted to add. Like I will have to leave you guys because it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes for me.
Mm.
But I'm happy I met you all, and you have my email address because of the last email Professor Spira sent. It's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that was in a nutshell. Like if you have a little bit of information of the language people understand, you can reassure them
Mm-hmm.
and get them interested in the long term. Well, see you all. Thank you. Much love.
All right. Peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, I was yeah, and that's a good point. And that's actually that's the kind of things that's really great for us to share with one another in these sessions is how we go about existing, you know, cohabitating in the world with pus and mucus reality, and folks that just do not understand what we're trying to do and why we're doing it and all this kind of stuff, and the different methodologies. I mean, I had to develop just personally, and everybody I know has, you know, kind of developed their own methodology of how they talk about this to other people, you know, how they explain what they're doing or not explain. And because sometimes when you first get into diet, you want to tell everybody and you're like excited and, hey, check this out, I'm feeling good, this is what's going on. And then you get beat up, and then you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this to anybody and keep it secret, you know. And what I found was just finding ways to explain things, and that's one of the reasons that I kind of developed an ability to, you know, to be able to have these conversations, is because I really worked at that. You know, I worked at trying to find ways to discuss the mucusless diet. And now I know, Celia, you mentioned that you have also have some kids that are watching what you're doing.
Yes.
So you could say a few things about that.
Sure. My son is 16 now, and I have identical twin girls that are 15. And so I think the biggest challenge with them is parties, school functions, things when they're with their friends. So a lot of times they'll just eat before they go to the party, so they don't go hungry, so that they don't, you know, feel weak in their choices. And so, you know, sometimes they make good choices and sometimes they don't. But a lot of times when they don't, then we just talk about how they feel afterwards. So that just negative affirmation, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
them to be more disciplined the next time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And especially for me, coming into this diet and this whole new way of thinking and living life came when they were older. And at that point, it's not so much, their world is not about what mom and dad are doing. They're trying to make their own way and figure out their own way. So best way has just been, you know, when I make food, I'll show it to them and say, "Isn't this pretty?" And it'll be something that they don't necessarily eat, but after they see me make it a few times, and then doesn't it smell great? And just like I used to do before with the other food or the other stuff we used to eat. So they just get used to seeing things, and then it's kind of like hearing a word 15 times before we actually say it, or something normal. And so I see them starting to eat things and come home. It's like, I just want to eat a salad, or they would have never said that a year and a half ago. So
yeah,
always seeing those little steps forward, and just always encouraging them and letting them make their mistakes too.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Professor Spira, I wanted to ask, I saw that food pyramid on your Facebook. I really, really like that, because I want to put that up on our wall, because we homeschool, and so they're home a lot. They're out a lot too, but just for them to see that, you know, every day, that food pyramid, I wanted to ask you where you got that. I really like it.
Now, which account? I'm trying to think. Which account is that? Somebody might have put that on there. I don't. Which is that? Is it the Pro Spira Facebook account?
Well, it had a lot of greens on the top, and the fruits and the vegetables, and.
Okay, let's see. I think Okay, I see it. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I didn't put that on there, but it does look good.
Oh.
Now I'm looking at it now.
Is
Yeah.
a food pyramid picture that you like better than that one?
If I was to make one, I would maybe. I mean, that's not too bad. It's I'm looking at it now. The raw food pyramid. I was tagged in it. I was tagged in the post. But I mean, it looks pretty solid. The main thing, if I were to work on something like that, what I would do would be, I would probably, and maybe this is something we could actually work on together. We could kind of brainstorm here of
Awesome.
of what could be made that would sort of explain, that would say, okay, over here we have the mucus-free foods, and then on the other side we have transitional, potentially mucus-forming foods, or something like that, you know, and kind of create, really create our own chart that's really clear, and so yeah. So I mean, in the meantime, it doesn't look too bad. The main thing is, it doesn't really make a distinction between, well, what's mucus forming and what's not mucus forming, and you have and you still have this. It says like the proteins and amino acids, you know. So I see it. You know, it's something. But yeah, I think we ought to make our own. We ought to
Yes.
work on our own chart, and
Definitely. I
yeah.
can add real quick though. For us, a lot of their transition has been doing, you know, especially in the beginning, was taking what they already liked and just simply making it vegan. That was a step where we went. And then within that vegan, having more fresh, and having more fruits and vegetables. And just so, and it's actually been such a slow transition, it even seems like, are we even transitioning? But when you compare it to a year ago, well, yes, it's a big change from a year ago. And just so having
Definitely.
lots of something that's not as good and a little bit more of something, and just keep doing that, just going day to day to day like that, has been how we've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key, and that's actually, I mean, that's really how it should look. It should be so gradual, where you look back a year later and you're like, wow, like, you know, it didn't feel like I made that huge of a change, but it's, you know, my diet's totally different, you know, and in the process you start to notice the changes. You know, you notice your skin, or you notice that there's a particular ailment that you used to have that's not there anymore, that you maybe that for the first time you you didn't get sick in a year, or maybe for the first time you did get sick and you were able to actually eliminate all of that waste because you weren't taking pills that would suppress the elimination. And so,
Right.
and then year two you don't get sick for the whole year, and so it's and so that's again, that comes back to that theme of the artist, of that kind of sensitivity. This is, we're physiological artists, and you have to be really sensitive to these little things, because you'll notice that a little shift or changing something just a little bit can really make a huge difference down the way. That kind of butterfly effect, where you just make a little tweak and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that it opens up a new whole new reality. And so I wanted to open it up again. Anybody else have any questions for the mothers here, or any comments to add or anything along those lines? This is the opportunity. And but yeah, so let's since we were talking about I guess the one question I would have would be with the children, because this is the controversial subject with a lot of people. But is there anybody that gives their child like the little baby enemas, like you got the little bulb, the syringe enemas, or regular enemas? Is there any of the mothers that have experimented with that reality?
I did a little bit when Quinn was like was kind of sick once, and yeah, let me know if you can hear me because of the rain. But yeah, I mean, we've tried it. It's really difficult. It's a team effort for that one. But I think it's kind of like somebody was mentioning, Celia, probably like, just introducing things slowly. I mean, one video I saw was of this little like 3 or 4-year-old girl. She was giving like pretend enemas to her stuffed animals, so it's like, yeah, that girl grew up with parents who helped her out a little bit, and just saying with eyes, because looking at with reading eyes and iridology, it's a lot of kids have mucus all up in the bowels, and it's just it's something I feel like really at the core of like what we can really work on first. Is like, where do you go from here? It's like really working on those bowels, like then everything else will just start pulling,
Yeah, that's yeah, no, I remember this concept of thinking of children, and when you think of memories and how far back you go. I've read this. This might be in some different traditions in ancient literatures and stuff, but I'd read this concept and then talked about it with some Mucusless Diet practitioners. But this concept of like the first 7 years of childhood is it's kind of like the elimination years. It's a time biologically and physiologically that it actually is set up for a young person to be able to eliminate a great deal of their physiological karma if given the opportunity. And if you go through some of this stuff, like all the crazy ear infections and all the pain and suffering that I went through, but I don't really remember how painful it was before like age 10. By age 10, I can kind of remember, but still a lot of those memories, if I'd had been transitioning from birth into, by the time I was 10 years old, although a lot of my eliminations may have looked incredibly scary and incredibly painful, I would have much rather have gone through that pain when I was 4 years old than to go through some of the eliminations I've had to go through in my 20s, getting into it later, and then now, in my 30s. And so that is just another perspective that I don't see a lot of people really talk about or think about, is just where it all from that perspective, it almost becomes an obligation for the parents to do as much for their child as possible in terms of transitioning them and getting them ready and set up for being able to take it to higher levels. Because like Brittany said, you can see when if you study the eyes and you're into the iridology, you can see chronic bowels immediately, with the children. A lot of people don't understand that when the child comes out the womb, that child is made of the parents, and the parents have passed on their physiological karma to the child. And so what we're trying to do is create an entire community where it's just about the transition. We're transitioning ourselves. The better that we get at it, and the more the cleaner we get, and the more experience that we get, the easier it is to transition our children. And and we just keep going, do this thing together. And yeah, anybody else is anybody else experimented with the baby enemas at all? Yeah. No, it's one of those things. I know Brother Air, he gave his son Hanif enemas, like the little bulb, when he was a baby, and he kept, he'd give him the little bulb enemas, just to kind of clear out, just kind of keep the colon irrigated and clear it out, and from time to time, and yeah, so that's interesting to me. That's an interesting area of of analysis.
I think I'll try it out on my girl. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'll do that. I myself have been doing enemas, although not lately. I should get back into the lemon enemas, but I used to do it before and during my pregnancy, because I was really constipated, quite frankly, and so I'll try that out and let you guys know.
Okay.
If it helps her transition and helps her break away from unhealthy, like anything, like let's say if it helps her move towards eating more fruit, because she loves grapes, but it's a challenge to have her eat other fruits now. She likes papayas, but she doesn't like bananas anymore. So if that works, then I'll see if that works.
Yeah, that's
I think
definitely.
Where my kids are at, they're transitioning by just hearing what it is right now. That's where we're at. Just what? What is that? That's where they're
right. Yeah. It's it's definitely a process that one has to go through, mentally and physically. And of course, like we say, a lot of people, they don't want to go down this road sometimes until they're forced to, with some kind of illness or ailment or something happens, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, kind of like you said, Celia, where you were like, mucus. I read about that, and that's funny to me that you who I was talking to somebody, and he had given a copy of the annotated Mucusless Diet to a friend, and I think the friend I think he ripped the book in half. Like, he was reading it, he was so outraged, he ripped the book and threw it. I was just like, but but that's, lets you know you got a good book, and people, tearing it apart in outrage. But so yes. Anybody have any closing thoughts before we move to another subject on the motherhood, or any other experiences or anything that came to mind that you would like to add?
Spira.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Sorry. Spira, I was just going to add that that my sister, when I know she did a couple enemas to the baby when she was going through the chronic constipation, but I also wanted to talk about how, like, I was there in the delivery room when she was born, and when she came out, like, I guess she was going through a lot of mucus, is what the nurse was saying. That she's like, some babies just go through a lot of mucus when they come out, and she'll have this for a while. And I mean, I just didn't know. I mean, that was the situation with my sister, because I know her diet when she was pregnant was it was not good. Like, she did say she gave in to almost everything she wanted, and she said that she couldn't stop herself, and call it hormonal, or it's just if she craved something, fast food, cereal. Like, I think she said she was eating a lot of Fruit Loops. Like, that was that she said if the saying is true that your baby's gonna crave what you had, what the mother had when it was in the womb, then she's gonna crave Fruit Loops and combos at McDonald's. So anyway, I know what her diet was, but I also, when Sailor came out, you know, after she'd come out and they gave her the baby, she did have lots of clogged mucus, and I don't know. I just wanted to add that thought there.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's so sad that is just considered normal and natural. Like, yeah, sometimes babies just have a lot of mucus. It's like, well, clean it up. And, but yeah, Israel, you were gonna add something there.
Oh yeah, man. It doesn't really have to do with the enemas and the babies, but I wanted to ask the moms if they have noticed, like, your children influencing others, like his or her friends, their friends, or have you noticed them influencing your children? Because I've noticed, like, with myself, when I go out with friends, I end up influencing them and, like, being that, how do you call it, like, consciousness on patrol. Like, you're setting up this vibe and they just can't do anything about it, so they just go with it, like, they flow with it, and I end up influencing them. But with my brothers, I have noticed that they've been influenced by their friends and into the junk foods like donuts and cheese, and, like, they were vegan, but now they're giving into the crappy foods because of their friendships. So I wanted to know, like, what have you observed with your children when they go out with friends or friends go into your house? Do you, like, influence them with preparing dishes and talking about it, or do your children, like, oh, I ate some pizza or I ate some burritos or whatever?
My kids definitely influence their friends. They'll tell them, you know, you should eat this, and or you shouldn't eat that, and so yeah, they definitely influence their friends, and their friends will kind of make, you know, kind of jokes about it, about how they're in the healthy family. But I think my kids like that now, and I think what makes most of the difference, besides their friends see how they're thinner, how their skin is clear, being teenagers. You know, a lot of their friends have acne, and they don't. So they have a lot of energy, and so I think because of those aspects, that's very powerful. And so they definitely influence their friends. Definitely.
That's good. That's
Positive.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is powerful that way. I mean, the lifestyle, and when we start to understand the dynamic of us as social beings, and how so much of the learning process is really learning from you know, from conversations and seeing other people do certain things. And so it's one thing to just talk about it, which is, you know, what we do a lot, you know, with the online and all that kind of stuff. But when you're in close proximity to people and they see that you're doing this, that you're not shriveling up and dying out. You're doing fine and all this kind of stuff, and you might even be doing better. Then it really can transform. It's very transformative, and it's like we say, and what we're seeing here, you teach teach a man something, you teach an individual, and teach a woman is like you teach a nation. It's like just the information just moves. It really does, and I'm seeing that, and really commend all of you that have the courage to really be pioneers in this area of getting into the diet, and then having something to take to your family and really really explore. And so yeah, was there any other responses to Israel there?
Well, my child obviously is not old enough to share with other kids, but as a mother, I do talk to a lot of women in passing, and if I see someone feeding them formula, sometimes I do just plant a seed, and that really helps.
Yeah.
Also, I think people have come to me and told me that they've complimented me on my daughter's skin and on her appearance, and I know all of you believe that your appearance doesn't lie. You can see what's happening in the body based on someone's outward appearance. So people have told me about her appearance and her skin, and I told them that she had a really bad case of eczema, and it was really the diet of fruits that pulled out all of that mucus from her the first 3 months I was on, grapes and other juicy fruits. So I think it's leading by example, and I'd also say that when I first saw the videos of these hangouts, I was like, wow, everybody's skin looks wonderful. And I'm still working on my own, but I do want to get to that level where my skin is just like yours. And that is where I feel this diet is also a good example. Because why would we need face creams and makeup when we can just have naturally beautiful skin and hair? So I feel like the appearance doesn't lie, and as our children grow, their presence would be a great example, a great role model for other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So any other comments about that, about the children and the influence and all that good stuff? I know Tony's got a question. you got any questions for the moms?
Oh man. Well, I work with children at a child care, and the kids they have so much mucus. It's crazy. Like, just mucus coming out of their nose by the glob. But we have a few vegetarian children who eat dairy. We don't have any vegan children at the child care. But I was actually talking to the vegetarian mother, and she was saying that, people will try to get her to feed her child meat just because the child is kind of lean. But it's obvious that that's the child's physiology, because the mother is also very skinny, as well as the father. They're both kind of long-limbed and skinny. So that's been interesting, and she obviously doesn't have the same mucus that the other kids have who eat tons of meat and lots of dairy. This girl eats dairy like every couple days. But I don't really have that many questions. It's more just I just watch the kids a lot, and they all know that I'm vegan. They're very open about it too. It's interesting because the kids will tell their parents, it's like, oh, Tony's vegan, and they'll tell their parents what that means, and so that's been really interesting. They'll ask me questions and stuff like, so what do you eat? And I'll say, oh, fruits and vegetables, and they'll say, well, what do you eat for dinner? So I'll give them some dinner, I'll give them some dinner options, and it's almost like I'm talking to the mature adults that I wish I was talking to. It's like the kids are very alert and open-minded. They're not like, oh, that's stupid. You can't do that. You need protein and stuff. They're just like, oh, and I'll ask them like, what fruits and vegetables do you like? It's been really interesting, and I would say that I've been an influence to them. But there is still, as Denise was talking about, there's still a programming there that is difficult to get through. Like if a child is sick, I'll mention like, well, fruits and vegetables might help or something like that, and they're always like, well, no, I got on medicine, and they're already, a lot of them are already indoctrinated into the medicine, and that if you do get sick, you take a medicine. That's the procedure. So that's been interesting, but I don't really have too many questions. I just kind of observe it, and it's pretty obvious what's going on. There's a lot of mucus.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and it's interesting to see hear your stories with with dealing with the children as a child care expert. What's your title? What would we call it?
Yeah, man, just a child care assistant. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, and one thing is that sometimes we have like fresh fruit for snack, and we're supposed to give 2 food groups. So a lot of times they give like a fruit or a vegetable plus a grain or a dairy. That's kind of been the staple, is like always a grain and a dairy and always a fruit or a vegetable. But I've actually been able to influence the sites that I work at, and I'll tell my coordinator or something like, well, for today, let's just do celery and apples or something like that, and I've been kind of able to influence that, and when we do that, the kids are so calm. They are so much calmer and easier to deal with. And I think that there's a distinction that can be made, because they're not calm as in they're tired, like they haven't gotten their protein. They're calm on an emotional level, but physically they're just fit and able as ever. So they're very relaxed on an emotional level. There's not as much fights. There's a lot more sharing and cooperation. And, that's what I've noticed, is that the days that I come to work and we're having like fruits and vegetables, I'm just happy, happy as can be, because I know it's going to be a good day, So it's been interesting,
Yeah, that's what's going on. So Tobin, what's your opinion on this subject? I know you might be the young bachelor over here. I don't know if you have to work with kids at all, or you kind of.
Wait. So what's the question?
Well, we're talking about that kind of just Mucusless diet in motherhood. So.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have seen, like, if you've observed children at all, or if your life is kind of not, where you're not interacting as much with kids because you're focused on trying to get yourself together.
Yeah. I mean, I do have I have a pretty big family on my mother's side. And so I have a lot of young cousins, and yeah, I mean, I have one cousin that will only eat like she is like the most picky eater, The only foods like she'll eat are bananas, a bagel with cream cheese, and like these tiger milk bars. I don't even know if you guys know what that is, but it's pretty much like candy. And so yeah, it's interesting the different diet habits of some of my younger cousins. And I kind of asked some questions like, what kind of food do you guys like to eat, or what's your favorite kind of fruit? Um, so just trying to like get into the minds of the kids, and it's kind of it's almost just like seeing the indoctrination. I mean, of the young children. I mean, we're so vulnerable at that age where we don't really have a decision in what we're eating or what we're doing. So like they'll basically, I mean, that's what I was like when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't know any better, and they're eating the worst food. Like all of my cousins, they're eating like what my uncle makes, and he literally will make like every night make meat. Like so, they're eating meat every night or whatever, and it's just like yeah, it's kind of hard to unravel the kind of indoctrination to kids that have been grown up on mucus and pus forming foods.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I always try to be a good example in what I eat, and I think even people like look, even like a lot of my family members actually admire when there's like a party and everybody's eating like a bunch of different kind of foods, and I'm just having a salad, and I think people admire that I have that control, even though sometimes I won't, but most of the time, I have that, and they admire that I'm on this path, and yeah, I got my mother and my grandma to have a mucusless dinner with me. Yes,
Nice.
last night it was.
Yeah.
It was hard though because like they were getting anxious. They're like, "Wait, just salads? That's all we're eating?" Like, can I warm up the chicken from last night? I was like, no. Like, no, just for tonight. Just have this salad and see how you feel. And I mean, I couldn't get them 100%. Like, they had to use some dressing, like some of their own kind of dressing, because I just used
Yeah.
like the lemon and the olive oil. But they're like, yeah, I need some other stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Well, I know that's something that I know Brother Air used to do. As I've done it maybe a couple times. I'm not really an like one that entertains a lot of company type of person, but I know Brother Air more so was back in the day, and he likes to cook, and he will cook for, he cooks for his family, but then he would cook for people that weren't into the diet, but would kind of make these meals that would be just so filling, just like just and he'd be like, well, see, you're not missing anything if you know what you're doing, if you know the right things to choose and the right ways to prepare them and the combinations. You're not missing anything. You're totally full and happy, and you're in a much better situation than if you were going on down to White Castle and going about that. But so yeah, so sometimes it's definitely good to be able to do that, to show people like this isn't as extreme as you think it is, as far as like, oh, well, what about this, or oh, you don't eat that. It's like, but I don't even think about that. It's just
Yeah, I wanted to add on that. I've also made meals for my family, and it's been really interesting. I'll put out the sweet potatoes, a big salad. Maybe I'll do the olive oil and lemon dressing, and some steamed vegetables, maybe some cut up apples or something like that. You know, it's been interesting over the years because my family's seen me eat like that, and then at the same time, they've also seen me when I'm not eating. You know, when I go out to dinner with them or something and I don't take anything. And so they've kind of seen the transition and progress. And it's been really interesting because I think that when somebody actually sees you go through the transition, they understand it in a whole different way than if you try to explain it to them. You know, so that's been my experience. And I wanted to add also with my child care job, nobody has been able to maintain the illusion that like a vegan diet makes you weak or unhealthy, because at every job that I've been at, I've been like pretty much the most vital person there. You know, I can, it doesn't matter if I'm fasting or not, I can run with the kids, I can, you know, I'll play soccer with a group of kids and I'll go play basketball with a group of kids, and constantly my coworkers will say, you know, I don't know how you keep up with those kids. Or I've had, you know, because another issue that came up with my job is that I actually told my coworkers I don't want to have anything to do with the food because there was too much dairy, there was too much just crap, you know, and so I talked to my manager or whatever, and I said, hey, you know, I'm happy playing with the kids. I'll run activities, run science experiments, but I don't want to be feeding them a lot of this stuff. And so they pretty much only involve me when it's fruits and vegetables now. And you know, so I've set an example where it's just there's an example that's been set and everybody's seen it, you know. So I think it's really interesting the kind of effect we can have on our community. You know, just living in the community, taking part in it, and you know, so that's been interesting. I think it's a really a positive force that we have just as doing this and not being dogmatic, you know, because we're not sticking to any singular path, so we can really show people how flexible it is.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, so what I wanted to maybe do now is actually do kind of like a little interactive game. Because you didn't think we were gonna play a game. No, what I'd like to do is kind of take turns. We maybe could have a couple people do this, but like we'll have one person be the antagonistic pus and mucus eater, and then the other person be the mucusless diet practitioner trying to, you know, defend themselves and explain to the other person in an effective manner what they do, and you know, just that dialogue, because I think that's very important, and that's this is a great time to do that when we're all gathered here and we can kind of you know, practice a little bit on how to talk to people and show the viewers what it looks like, you know, to kind of have to deal with this, because it's like I say, to me, the number one reason that people fail on the mucusless diet, the people that honestly want to do it, the number one reason people fail is because of social related issues, things related to social situations, and not really knowing how to cope with the you know, environments where social reasons are the why someone has a relapse or goes and feels like it's okay to eat, you know. And I talk to, you know, when I work with people that I do coaching with and stuff, that comes up all the time where you know that'll be it's the main relapse trigger. It's not smelling something, it's not seeing somebody else eat, it's going to some kind of social function or a party or being out someplace socially where everybody else expects you to eat something, and then you just kind of that little part in your mind just says, it's okay, let me just, I'll just eat. And then you take that one little nibble, and before you know it, it's over. You know, you're eating all kinds of stuff. Then you wake up the next day, and you're going through a serious hangover. I mean, that's a real hangover. You know, the day after you eat, like you've gone a long period of time not eating any mucus, then you go ahead and get up the next day, and you got that headache, and you feel like, what did I do last? I mean, that makes hangovers from alcohol look like nothing. You know, the mucus hangover is a trip. But I'll start off, but I want to volunteer somebody be a mucus eater and ask me questions that are the kind of things that people ask you all the time, that are just that when they get into them kind of conversations. So who wants to participate? Who wants to be that person?
Oh, I'll do it.
All right, Tobin. So you go ahead and start.
All right. Oh, hi, hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm pretty good. So, I hear you're on this special diet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. So, I hear that you just eat fruits and vegetables. Is that correct?
Yeah, mostly fruits. Actually, would you like a grape?
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're pretty good. They're pretty good this time. Yeah, you got these organic grapes here.
Nice. So you just eat grapes?
Well, I eat a lot of stuff. Basically, what I do is I try to get away from mucus-forming foods. So, like the grapes and vegetables and things like that tend to not leave behind a whole lot of slime in my system. And so those are the kinds of things I like to eat.
So what causes the slime, as you call it? What is that?
Well, I mean, have you ever seen like a piece of white bread? Have you ever seen a piece of white bread when it gets soggy? Like if it's in some water and it's just sitting there and it starts getting all mushy and all kind of slimy and stuff. But if you put this grape in some water, it doesn't turn to slime like that. So that's sort of the difference. That's how you can tell is like, okay, well, this thing over here turns into slime, and this thing over here doesn't.
Oh. So why is that bad?
Well, it's bad because it's kind of like is eating glue good? Like most of us don't like to eat glue, but a lot of these foods that are slimy, it's sort of like eating glue inside your body. So a lot of the problems and the ailments and the things that people experience are due to having eaten a lot of this gluey kind of substances. And then it never eliminates. It just sits in their system, and they just don't really feel too good.
So, what about hot dogs? Is that gluey? Is that this mucus you talk about?
Yeah, hot dogs are
organic. What about the all natural?
yeah. Even organic hot dogs are gonna be they're not good. And I tell you, meat is particularly bad because it's actually pus forming, so it sort of ends up becoming really concentrated. It's like really concentrated slime. And but if you're really interested in this, there's a book. It's called The Mucusless Diet Healing System. There's this really great version that's annotated version by this guy named Professor Spira, and that he put it out there, and I encourage you, take a look. There's also a website, mucusfreelife.com, and if you're interested in this, check it out, and then then get back to me, and if it's something that you think you're interested in doing.
I don't know, just fruits and vegetables, you say?
Well, it's more about a transition. It's more about because some people use it's not just like overnight you change into eating fruits and vegetables. Uh, it took me 6 months to get off of meat, and in the very beginning, I used some stuff like that cottage cheese, which the author Arnold Ehret talks about using that thing. So something like cottage cheese is way better to eat than something like regular cheese because it eliminates better. It doesn't sort of create the same kind of gluey sliminess that it still does, but just not the same as a regular piece of cheese. And so there's a method to
Wait,
it.
hold on a second, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that all the food I've ate up until now is all that glue? Is still inside of me? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Uh, yeah, kind of a lot of it. I mean, have you ever gotten sick? Have you ever had the experience of having mucus coming out of your nose and coughing up stuff in your lungs and your throat and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Well, this is what we're talking about. The foundation of this mucus elimination is being constipated on the cellular level down in your bowels, having all this glue and all this nasty mess that's in you. That's where that's coming from. When you eliminate that, which was my experience, because I used to get that, I would have that kind of mucus all the time, and when I started to eliminate those foods, I no longer went through that. I no longer got sick like that and would be blowing my nose all the time, and I didn't have to take pharmaceutical medications anymore. All this kind of stuff totally transformed, and so that's when I saw, well, wait, there's something to this, that these gluey foods do present a problem in the body. And, so yeah, all right. So yeah, so that was that was fun. All right, so now we need two new volunteers who would like to participate in our little game here.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay, who else?
Are you going to be the mucus-free person or the mucus person?
What do you want to be?
I'll be the mucus person.
All right. Okay. All right, so you can start.
Okay, so what are you eating there?
Hey, yeah, I'm just eating a salad.
Oh, no chicken?
No, I don't eat any chicken. I used to, but that was like a few years ago. The last few years, I've mostly been eating fruits and vegetables.
Oh, well, I'm from Texas. I gotta have my chicken. Gotta have my chicken.
I mean, I understand that. I used to eat chicken myself, and I've been practicing something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System. And basically, it's like a plant-based diet. I don't know if you've ever heard of plant-based living.
I've heard of plant-based, but I've never heard of mucusless, or never heard of that. What's that?
Yeah, okay. Basically, certain foods cause mucus, and fruits and vegetables are mucusless. They don't cause mucus. So I've kind of been transitioning myself off of mucus-forming foods and eating more of the plant-based mucusless foods. And I got to tell you, I mean, I've been having a lot of benefits from it.
Sounds expensive.
I mean, produce is the cheapest thing in the store. I can go to the store and get some broccoli, some lettuce, and a couple pieces of fruit for under $10, and that can last me like 2 days. So it's not too expensive. maybe $50 a week, $60 a week will really get me by really good, you know, and I've had times where I ate less, but yeah, I haven't found it to be too expensive. I mean, my question is, what, if you haven't done a plant-based diet, how do you know that it's a problem? You know, I've had a lot of benefits, and I've actually done both. I've done eating a lot of meat, and I've done eating dairy, and eating plant-based, and I've really enjoyed it.
Isn't organic expensive?
You know, it can be, but in the transition, it's fine to buy just the best fruits and vegetables you can. You know, you can get farmers to hook you up, or you can just get a bulk deal at a fruit and vegetable wholesale. But in general, it hasn't been that expensive. You know, I have some videos on YouTube if you want to check it out. So I can give you that information too.
So it's been working for you. How's it been better for you?
I haven't been as congested. When I was younger, I actually had a couple different illnesses that had me in the hospital. You know, I had appendicitis and mono. I actually had viral meningitis as well. So I had some illnesses, and I really wanted to find something that would help me. And ever since I checked out this mucusless diet, it's really been good. You know, I've liked it.
I have a lot of skin problems. Would it help with that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, the skin is actually like an organ. So a lot of the things in our body comes out through our skin. So practicing a mucusless diet, you kind of heal yourself on the inside, and your skin will get better as well.
I'll check it out. What's that? Is there a website or a book?
Yeah,
how do you do that?
I actually got a lot of my information from a guy named Professor Spira, and you can check it out at mucusfreelife.com.
Cool.
All righty. Yay. Clap. All right, nice job, everybody. So yeah, so just to look, we should analyze a little bit, or you know, get some common themes. But I mean, if we were to break this down into, you know, like the 3-step process, it's sort of, you know, someone asked, or maybe more than 3 steps, but just step process. You know, someone starts to ask you questions about the diet, then the tactic that I used and Tony used was to not make a huge deal about it, to not be real, because that is a thing where people see that coming a mile away. If you're like, oh, check that, I'm into this diet, God, dude, check it out, you know, it's like that immediately makes them like, whoa, I don't, like, you know, just that's a bad response. But if you just kind of like this is what I do, and you're kind of mysterious with it, you know, I took a pretty long time before I even mentioned the word mucusless diet. And then I say, okay, well, I practice a Mucusless Diet Healing System. You know, Tony kind of just hit it. He's like, well, this is what I do, and then that got the conversation moving along a little quicker. And then so you know, at some point you want to talk about some of your own experiences with it, and then when you at a certain point you want to leave them wanting more, and so you tell them, because you can't do all this work for them. They have to do some work too, and part of their work, if they're truly interested and they want to do this, then they need to read the book, because there's only so much they're going to learn that they should even try to just learn from you, just sort of with the introduction in a conversation. It's like, here's the book. If you're interested in more information, you know, here's the book. Here's a website where you can get more, you know, free information, and just kind of educate yourself on it, and then leave it there. And that I found to be the best approach for this, because there's definitely, you can't really get into super deep conversations, obviously, until they have, you know, read the book, or they've done a little bit of studying on their own, you know. So it's good to just kind of expose people to it, give a little bit of some personal experience and some of the benefits and things that you've seen in your own experience, and then kind of refer them to the further research things and stuff. And so yeah. So anybody else want to play the okay, we got.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna play just because I don't know how long my kid will let me talk. But when I'm talking to people, I find like telling stories and relating to nature really helpful. And like I like to use the analogy, with a stream, and it gets dammed up. And what happens when like water becomes stagnant, is like algae growth and then mosquitoes, so it's like creating the environment for these, things, it's like taking oxygen away from the water. But yeah, and also like once you have mentioned mucusless diet, I like how you relate it back to, have you ever had an elimination, a cold where you, because getting people to see it in their own bodies is like really important.
Yeah, that's
And,
another principle. Yeah, I could have mentioned that too, because that's another tactic that I consciously will use is as a poet. Again, here's this artistry that those of us that think like this. As a poet, you want to have evocative language that produces an emotional response and sort of an experience response. Get them to, get your reader to smell something or to hear something or to feel something, and the kind of language that produces that. And one of the easiest is just say, well, have you ever been sick? And immediately in their mind they think back to a time and experience a time when they had that sick, and you can get, and I used to get. It was some people, if I really want to lay it on thick, I'll get kind of graphic. I'll be like, well, have you ever just had like slime just coming out your mouth? And I was, and then they'll be like, they'll go back to that kind of, it's like, because what happens is a lot of people get sick. They just think it's normal. They go through it. They might be bedridden for a week, just slime coming out of, and just feeling terrible. But then when they move on with their lives, they haven't learned anything. They didn't learn anything from the experience. And half of them took a bunch of pills to slow down and suppress the elimination. And so what you do is you kind of is say, okay, well, let's consider this part of your life that you try to ignore. Because most people, after they get sick, once they get better, they don't even want to think about that. They just, okay, I'm better now, And so this is a way to say, okay, make that connection. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wanted to say that when I was in Belize, they don't really use the word.
You left.
Uh-oh. Tony's connection got cut short there. Let's see. Did he? Okay, he'll. Uh-oh. Well. Okay, he'll be back. Little technical issue. So yeah. Anybody else have another comment on what we were talking about there? Who else wants to participate? Who else wants to do the little play acting thing?
I have some questions that I know some.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
I have some questions that I know a meat eater and a sad American, like a standard American diet eater will ask.
Okay.
Who wants to do like the mucusless practitioner part?
Yeah. Who wants to be the mucusless practitioner?
I'll try, if you want to try, that's okay.
Yes.
I have really no experience doing this except for with my family, so okay, this is good practice for me.
Exactly. Okay.
All right. Hey, So I've heard you're one of those hippies who only eat rabbit food. Like, what is that diet called? The mucus what? The mucusless diet?
The Mucusless Diet Healing System.
So
And
what is it
it's,
all about?
I'm sorry, what is it all about? Well, it's a
Yeah.
diet to help us transition from the foods of civilization that have made us sick for so long. And so it's all about returning back to our source, back to the foods that God originally intended for us to eat,
But
which is fruits and vegetables.
where
But you
an
have a lot of options as well.
were an animal supposed to be created for our consumption? I mean, look at the Stone Age. The Stone Age people ate meat, so they are our ancestors. I mean, how can you
Well,
explain that?
Well, actually, we don't know for sure that they ate meat because there's much evidence that humans were originally fruit eaters as well as they ate vegetables. There's evidence that they also ate some tubers in more recent history, I guess you could say. But like they found that Neanderthals, they ate cooked tubers as well as herbs.
Mm.
So, and our
Oh,
bodies are intended to eat fruit.
oh well, I might have to Google that. Uh, so what's up? When does the diet end? Like, how long does it last?
It lasts for as long as you need to be on it. Usually it takes like several weeks to transition, but um, it's really up to the individual because, for example, like meat addiction, it takes a while for people to lose that addiction. So it could take months, but it's all up to an individual. Is that a right answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I would the way I would go with that, what I would say that is I would go more with the lifestyle and say, it's a
Okay.
transitional lifestyle as opposed to saying, you transition for several months. It's kind of instead of
Yeah.
thinking about it in terms of that, because you could say, well, sometimes it takes people several months to get into the transition, kind of get into
Okay.
the to ease their way into the diet. But for the people that are most successful with it, it's a it's a lifestyle. Now, a more
Okay.
advanced answer would be the lifestyle, but then what you'll see me say sometimes is I'll talk about that different people come to the diet and for different reasons and use it differently. So some people come to the diet and they will use it short term just to overcome an illness that the doctors told them they couldn't heal. And then they would get into the diet fast and heal themselves, and then they would go back to doing whatever they do. Of course, when they get sick again, they come back. But overall, I think the lifestyle concept is very important to to
Yeah,
kind of get across.
All
I
right.
understand.
So why do you avoid eating such foods? Like, what do they create? Why? Why do you want to leave all behind? Like, you're missing out on all those good foods.
Well, I'm actually not missing out on anything because meat just made me sick. Eating too much fat made me sick. Um, I was hospitalized and I had some surgery, so it really was not a lifestyle that worked for me. I had to search for something that worked, and the Mucusless diet, ever since I've been on the lifestyle, I've felt like my body, mind, and spirit are coming together again. I have the energy to wake up every morning to take care of myself and my baby. I'm able to sing again, to do things that I haven't been able to do if I eat meat or dairy. or even grains. I'm no longer constipated. My skin is no longer breaking out. There are so many benefits to being on this diet that I could never go back to eating any mucus forming foods again.
All right.
Great answer.
Yeah, yeah, that was good.
So
Yeah, it was flowing.
yeah. But I mean, I'm pretty healthy. Everyone says I look healthy, and I run like 5 miles a day, and I'm also eating gluten-free, non-GMO. I mean, I try to eat organic bread, organic meat. Does that like still constipate me? Because I have a bowel movement every day. I mean, that must be flowing good.
Well, normally a person should have a bowel movement after every meal, and I know like one bowel movement a day. It's I I was feeling like I was still constipated with just one bowel movement a day and on meat. So I mean, maybe why don't you just take a look at the website? It's mucusfreelife.com and check out the book and see if this is something that you'd like to try out, because I think you're already on the right track. It's just eliminating certain foods would bring you to your optimal health, and just give it a shot. It can't hurt. It can only help you.
All right, nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
and just to close it all up, I've heard this crazy thing about you. I mean, I've heard you insert water up your behind. What? Like you take a bag with water and I mean, that's crazy.
Oh,
Isn't that bad? Isn't
it
that bad
feels
for
like
you? I mean,
heaven.
but
It feels good. No, you don't knock it till you've tried it. Don't knock it
but
till you've tried it, because you'll feel so fresh, so clean. I mean, if you're already on fruits and veggies and you're running, you're exercising, and you're basically trying to do your best to perform well daily, the enema is like the icing on the cake.
well, my doctor told me it might be depleting like to the system. I might be losing nutrients. I've heard of the coffee enema, and that sounds rational, but water and lemon,
Oh,
I mean,
oh,
that's crazy.
well, coffee is too stimulating. You're gonna get a high and then you're gonna drop. You're gonna get a low, and it's not good for your adrenals either. So, the water and lemon is the best one of the best enemas you can give yourself, aside from herbal, and it's very gentle and it doesn't do any harm to your body. It just clears out your colon.
Nice.
all
I
right.
like that.
Yeah, very good. Teiva, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it was very good. Yeah, definitely, because it's I got a chance to get a little, get down, Israel wasn't holding back, but he's like, I've heard all of this. I've heard
For
all
sure,
of
man.
this all the time from people, and it's definitely.
Yeah, like the anima thing is something I reserve for the serious people. Like, okay, so you're getting interested in this. I'm gonna
Mhm.
tell you something cool, like lemon animas, lemon animas.
Yeah. Where
I don't
that's
tell that to all the other people who want to know about it because they just like gossiping, like, oh, he does animals, like he puts water inside his intestines,
yeah.
and I don't want to people to be talking about something they don't know about.
Well, and you know what's politically what I've found works is, and you'll see this in my writings, where to get people ready for the enema discussion, I will use the phrase colon irrigation,
Yeah.
because that's like that's sort of like, because they don't necessarily know what it is, but it sounds better for some reason. It just
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
more like, oh, okay, well, because I'll say, well, yeah, periodically I gotta do colon irrigation, and because sometimes I won't make a big emphasis that I do it every day or had done it every day or anything like that. I'll just sort of, when they're talking about the diet, if it's something that, because sometimes I won't bring it up at all, but if it is, if I feel like I need to bring it up or somebody ask about it, then I'll say, because sometimes the people will ask, well, what's different about the Mucusless diet and just veganism or raw foodism or whatever, and then that's when you can kind of get into some of the more distinguishing characteristics and be like, well, if there's use colon irrigation and enemas and then sometimes they'll ask, it's like, well, what is that? Is that like colonics? Or I was like, well, yeah. I mean, those are great, but I found that regular enemas are really, really, really great. Really good. Like you can't really compare the two because it's different experiences, but something about doing it regularly, especially in the beginning, that's real important.
I really haven't experienced the colonics. I just have experience with the enemas. But yeah, man, I feel you on the colon irrigation term. Like people wanna hear something more scientific, we could say. And I remember I posted on the group some months back. I had gone to the store. I get the distilled water, and I had gotten like 6-7 gallons of it. And I was just getting started with the like frequent enemas. So the lady was like, "So why do you buy so many bottles of distilled water?" And I'm like, "Practice colon irrigation." And she was like, "Oh, that sounds good." And actually, like the man who packaged the food, who put it in bags and stuff, he was an old man, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember those bags. We used to hang them on the door, like they used to have it around for any kind of elimination symptom, what they call disease. Like I'm constipated, do an enema. I'm feeling a headache, do an enema." But he said like that's a habit that has been it's been lost through the generations.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right. Let's see. I think Tony, he might have had to leave because if he was in the university, sometimes they close down. And we'll wrap it up here soon. Maybe about 10 more minutes so we can kind of revisit everybody and have everybody kind of give their closing statements. And I do want to tell everybody that's watching, and first thank everybody that's watching, especially those that watch all of these, that watch the whole thing, because these conversations are long, but as long as people still like them and they like going through all of it, then I keep doing them. But I want to. There were some questions that were posted on the group. I think I'm gonna save some of these questions for the next Q&A because there's some of these they're good. They're real good questions. They don't necessarily go right along. Well, maybe I'll take one of these questions, but some of these I'll save it for the Q&A. But this one question that's interesting that I'll kind of throw out to the group here is, it says, do you think any celebrities, athletes, or well-known people who secretly practice the diet or raw foodist? He said, I know some celebrities that are vegan, but it would be interesting if any celebrities are aware of this. And that's an interesting topic to me. And me and Brother Air used to always say that somebody's gonna come along, that does have that kind of that star, that are celebrated peoples, that have that kind of status, and they, somebody will get benefit from this information and then feel compelled to use their their stardom to make the diet a little bit more visible. But you know what I see though is I see the transition is already on because we have different celebrities that basically are transitioning people into veganism, and so it's kind of like I think it makes sense that in terms of the mainstream society, they would have to have someone like Beyonce entice them into veganism before they you know, I can't compete with Beyonce. Come on. Who wants to hear me like who's that guy? You know, like but Beyonce's eating vegan now, you know. Now I'll do it. And you know, same thing with
Is that for
or
real, Beyonce? Vegan?
that's the word on the street. That's what people have been saying that Beyonce is officially become vegan, and she started a vegan, some kind of vegan food service for people could get into, and you know, so she's monetizing it. She's gonna monetize it. She's gonna make some money off of it, but
Yeah.
but that's what I've heard. You know, I never know. You never know what people are doing, but I'm happy that they're at least talking about plant-based lifestyles in that high up in the mainstream ladder. I mean, you would never see things like that years ago. I mean, it would just you would have famous people that would just keep it real private that they were plant-based because it was such a taboo to talk about being plant-based, and it is interesting that historically a lot of the most advanced people and and celebrities and all kinds of stuff, they knew about the mucusless diet. They just didn't promote it or talk about it much. But I mean, you know, Einstein used to go hang out with Fred Hirsch at Fred Hirsch's retreat, and a lot of famous people would go there. But they would just never. It was the kind of thing that was just too underground. It was almost like a secret that they would want to keep for themselves. You know, it's like Einstein. He could have been writing about that, but no, he wanted to write about physics and other stuff. You know, and so you know, I predict that someone's gonna come along that really gets into it. What I have seen though, people. What has happened oftentimes within, say, the plant-based community is, I think it's much easier for people if they are the kind of people that kind of can be like the small within the context of mainstream. They would be like small celebrities within a particular niche, like the raw foods niche. You know, there's the handful of people that we can name that either have the YouTube channels or that have whatever, and they will develop fairly strong followings, and a lot of, and some of them know about the mucusless diet, and sometimes they'll even mention it. But there's like a thing where to say that that's what they do, that they practice, it's much easier for them to align themselves with the larger thing that's already been sort of validated by masses of people. So people say, well, I'm raw foodist. It's like, yeah, but you read the mucusless diet all the time, and you basically practice mucusless diet. Well, no, but I'm raw foodist. You know, it's for them. I think it's easier for them to, because it's we tend to think things are legitimate when there's large numbers of people involved. You know, so there's a large numbers of people, and say, well, this is something I can plug into because it's ready made. So I will be a raw foods person. A lot of that happens with the vegan. Well, the vegan thing it's mainstream at this point just because you can go to a store and labels will say if it's vegan or not vegan. So it's in the mainstream consciousness, and so it's a lot easier to sort of align yourself with something that's really popular than it is to align yourself with something that is you know, kind of controversial, or doesn't necessarily have thousands of people, or you know, hundreds of thousands of people following it, or people aren't talking about it on Oprah or whatever. And So that's why I think they're out there. The people that are really, I mean, you know, you got your Steve Jobs. I mean, there's those guys are out there. The Steve Jobs kind of folks are out there, but they just are quiet, you know, about the diet because they just, especially the older generations, it kind of came up in a time when you just didn't want to get into this publicly because you would just be attacked so much. And so it's like, well, let me just keep my diet private, and I will do whatever I need to do in the world. And so I don't know. So that's my thoughts on that. Just to address that question. Is there any of you guys have anything to add to that? You know, where's the celebrities at?
Mm.
What did you say?
I was going to say that diet is one of the most, I don't know, people get so offended if you bring up diet a lot of times. And I know as a mother, there's a lot of support for the, like the high-fat diets that they're giving to the children. Like in, you know, I guess there's this natural parenting kind of movement, and they'll still feed them eggs and all of this organic meats and all that. So I think, I know that wasn't really on the, on your topic about celebrity, but I think as people try it out, like, I mean, it's going to take somebody getting, I hate to say it, but it's going to take people getting sick and trying to find a way out, trying to find something that works to find this. And I know Beyonce made a statement that she's not vegan, but she's on a plant-based diet. I think that was in the news.
Okay.
There was like a correction that it came out that's saying that she wasn't vegan, but she was on a plant-based diet. So I really don't know what that means, except maybe she just eats a lot of vegetables with some meat here and there. But I saw the diet. I mean, I saw some of the food that they serve. It's not really fresh. They don't have the fresh vegetables. It's more like the bean stuff. But
right.
And, you know, whatever noodles. But I mean, that's almost a step there, except they have to kind of get rid of all the other. I mean, it's not the Mucusless diet, but it's in a direction, like, you're not going as extreme as just eating everything raw or just eating fruit. You're still eating certain transition foods, right?
Right. It's the way I look at it is a macro transition when you're talking about the mainstream society and masses of people. It's because it's the same principle with the body. You know, if you think of the body, if in the body, we're all just a bunch of we're like cells on the tissue. We're like blood cells on the tissue of the earth, and it can start off with just a couple cells in your body that tell you, hey, you need to get yourself together. You need to do something. And it only might take those couple blood cells that have that level of consciousness that can direct you to this transition. But in the body, think about it. If masses of people, like the whole world, all at one time, started to just aggressively go like, okay, we're all going mucusless, there would be pandemonium. That's too fast. That's not a transition.
Yeah.
So the earth.
Fast. It would be too fast. I think it starts with like smaller communities, but I know for my own community, there's a self-determination movement on this island, and in our archipelago, basically we're a U.S. Military. We have a few bases, and we're a territory, but the military keeps trying to take more land for bases. So the movement here was basically getting people to indigenize their diet. And there's a really great speech by one of the chiefs back in the 1600s when they first came, and he said, Chief Hurrah, he said that before these men came, we had no disease. We did not eat their food, and we were not sick. There was no such thing as smallpox. We didn't have mosquitoes or flies are, and then, he was basically laying the foundation for why they should rebel against the colonizers. And so in like for my kind of my group, my island and my region, I would say in order to truly liberate ourselves and bring us back to good health and the possibility of living very long lives, we'd have to go on this sort of diet. We'd have to, this sort of lifestyle, because it's so close to what our ancestors were eating. And one of my Facebook friends, I think he's on the fan page, he said something about ascending evolution and descending evolution. So it's interesting that we do have to take a look at our past to see what really worked and to realign ourselves with good health, and of course beauty beauty comes with health. And in a time when so many people are struggling with cellulite, weight fluctuations, skin problems, people don't really want, the people in power don't really want to mention this because it's almost free. You can grow your own food and you can heal your skin and your body and look beautiful and feel healthy without paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for creams and surgeries and Botox and other stuff. So this is like one of the things that is controversial because people, the companies, corporations don't want people to know this information. It's dependency and it's oppression, and this is everywhere. So it will take all of us, and maybe there's going to be someone or a group of people from the group of people who practice it to make this, I guess, much more popular. You never know. It could be, it could be you and everyone in this group basically managing this or presenting it like it is presented in the raw food movement. Because I know I don't know if you released your recipe book, and I don't know if you've gotten into.
Yeah, not yet, but that's all. Yeah, that's all part of the plan. Yeah, and I know that's an important part where people will want to plug into that because people like recipes and they like preparing things. But so that's coming out soon.
Yeah, so maybe with more YouTube and Facebook videos and photos, presentations of all of these, all of the, the dishes that could be made, and maybe doing something like with the sunbathing, air bathing, all of that information.
Right.
That's
right.
great. Ooh, the saltwater baths. Those are like, it's like you're living in a spa, really. If you practice this diet, you're basically living like you're at the spa. And I think that's so, that's everybody's dream. It's just a matter of presentation.
I like that. Yeah, it's like you're practicing a diet. It's like just living at the spa. Just eat fruit. And taking care of yourself and kind of pampering yourself as you make yourself comfortable as you try to eliminate and heal yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's happening. I'm seeing it. What I wanted to make sure I did as someone that was trying to kind of spearhead this movement a bit. And make it more visible in public is it has to be the foundation of it really has to be strong, and the foundational people that are the ones that are going to then end up telling other people about it and teaching other people about it. It's like they have to know what they're talking about and kind of be on, we got to be on the same page, and create this culture together. You know, we're creating a new culture, you know, a new society that's counter, like you said, counterculture. It's opposed to the mainstream, opposed to all those. And so that's why sometimes I will highlight the things that are very specific to the Mucusless diet, in terms of, you know, like the rejecting calorie theories and vitamin theories and nutritional theories. Like, nobody else does that. Nobody else is talking like that. I don't care how plant-based people get. Everybody still uses those concepts as some kind of place to return to, you know, some kind of something that they feel is necessary to deal with. And part of that revolutionary change is like, well, why do I have to think like that? Why do we have to do that? And so, you know, but yeah, there's a lot of things coming down the pike. You know, it's one of those things. The one thing about Mucusless diet practitioners, and me and Brother Eric talk about this all the time, is you learn patience. You know, you learn patience. You know, you learn humility, being humble, and that's really what a lot of this is about. Is you know, there is what I notice with a lot of the raw food folks, man. It's just like, it's like ego on steroids with some of them. They're just, oh yeah, and stimulation, you know, real stimulated. We're gonna do this, and you better do this, and it's like, can't we let's mellow out, let's settle down, and let's try to let's deal with this thing. Let's really try to you know, expand our awareness and understand what we found ourselves in, and do this kind of work and research for yourself. Like I tell people, I don't tell anybody to not believe in nutrition theories just because I said so. I challenge people, do the historical research. Don't just go read something that Oprah told you to read in her magazine, some lame little study that they did. Look at the origins of these theories, and if you can go back to the origin of, you know, protein theory and vitamin theory, if you can go back to those origins and read those stories and those original scientific documents, and you can still believe in the theory, and you can talk about it with me, then we could actually have that conversation. But nobody wants to do that. You know, most people don't want to really deal with the history and you know, deal with things on that level. Which, again, another thing that has been shaped on this side is this kind of research, you know, and this kind of thinking. You know, the courage to truly think differently and challenge things in a different way, you know, in a constructive way. As opposed to, you know, we're not trying to challenge. What a lot of some of the vegans will do is they'll go get a bunch of peer-reviewed scientific journal studies, and it'll be like, these are my studies versus the studies of the meat eaters. There's just as for every vegan person that promotes a plant-based diet scientifically, there's another person that'll promote meat eating scientifically. It cancels itself out. But what's revolutionary about what we do is we say, you know what, let's just not even think like that. Let's scrap that entire paradigm and say it's because it's not useful for us, and let's create something new. Let's build a paradigm that's based on an elimination concept and understanding elimination, instead of trying to be obsessed with, you know, how much am I getting of something? Like, well, I better get this, I better get that. It's like, well, let's focus on elimination, you know. And so yeah.
That's a great point. I'd also like to mention that there are, I was wondering if there are any sort of healing places, healing retreats, or resorts that offer the mucusless lifestyle, because most of the resorts I've looked into personally, they more or less offer raw vegan nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like one resort in the Philippines where a lot of celebrities would go to, especially like the Filipino celebrities. It's called the Farm at San Benito, and they do everything from colonic and irrigation, colonics. They do all sorts of spa treatments and health treatments, and then they give like the raw food diet. So I was also thinking maybe turning on people who are more or less in like entertainment, like mainstream entertainment, through through offering it at some sort of resort or spa, if that's what anybody in the community is doing right now.
Well, I mean, I know me and Brother Air, we've had plans for a long time to, go someplace in the tropics and, get some land and put together a real serious Mucusless Diet village, just to see, just to had the whole package where people could come and we could transition them properly, we could fast them properly, we can, get the whole educational process and just, really have a space and have it off the grid and just so those things are in the works, but again, it just takes time and people that come to this now, most people come to things after they're already real popular, after they're already big, like we said before, like with the raw foodism's already like an institution. Veganism is a bigger institution. People that find the Mucusless Diet right now, I mean, this is as grassroots as it gets. Yeah. I don't have no money. Brother Aaron don't have no money. Most people I know that practice the Mucusless Diet, we're just folks that just want to share this information, and we're not out here trying to, get rich or anything like that. But at the same time, we also have, if we want to be able to share this information, you have to be able to have the means to do so. And so that's where I tried to come in to give a little bit of structure and organization. But yeah, the long-term plan, because this would be one of those things where in 20 and 30 years when we look back and the Mucusless Diet is bigger than raw foodism now, and we'll look back and we'll look back at these conversations like, yeah, I remember when he was talking about like how it was how this thing, the way it would grow, because what's happening is as long as we continue to steadily grow, it's the same thing with the transition, because I use transitional methodology that I've experienced from my body. I relate that back to society, and I noticed that as long as things transition continually and gradually, but continue to transition, it kind of happens organically, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, as opposed to what some people try to do. And the reason that fads have worked in the past, like the diet fads, is somebody that saw an opportunity to make money, came, and they packaged everything. They got the sales team together. They invested like $1 million into a whole sales process, and then they sold millions of units of whatever the thing was, your Atkins diet or whatever it is, and it was a huge fad for a minute, and then people start dying off or whatever happens with it's not good, and it dies off. Or the same thing with the with different people that are trying to push these different supplements. I just seen a documentary where guys that know absolutely nothing about health, but they know about sales, and they went and concocted their own nutritional supplements, and then sell them online, and they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they sell them for just long enough so that they can leave and they can grab their money and they can run, because when people get these supplements and they're taking them and they're like, this doesn't work, but you promised me such and such in all your ads, and it doesn't matter. They're already gone. They already took your money, and this is a whole different reality, because we're not really, this is more about like the marketplace of ideas. I'm real interested in getting to people's consciousness, because if you can change the way you think about this stuff, then your actions start to follow. And what we're doing right now is really cultivating a new culture, a new cultural structure, and we kind of bring to it who we are and what we want to see. What's the world that we want to create together? What's the world that we want to see? And and I'm just really excited about about that process, and and I'm just really thrilled to see so many people so interested in this. Like I always tell the story, is we've come a long way from the beginning of the Facebook group, where it was like 10 people in the group, and several of those people were my own accounts, and I had conversations with myself about the Mucusless diet. I'd be like, so what foods were you eating today? And then I'd log off and log back in a different one. It's like, well, today I had, steamed cabbage and a salad, and so yeah, so we've come a long way, but from the
That's funny.
from the days of that kind of thing, and so I'm just, it's just a privilege to be able to have this conversation and talk with all of you, and have such just a high level meaningful discussion about something that's so important and that can be so transformative to people's lives. And so I want to go ahead and start wrapping things up, and I will, kind of read. Some folks had to leave. I think Tony said he lost his charge and on his iPod, and a couple other people had to step out. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody, and if anybody has last words, we'll go to Jamie, and have any last words for everybody.
Yes, actually, I have a message for some of the people in the group that are practicing the diet, or some that may have been in and not in anymore, that they've maybe practicing for 1 year to 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, and they're having a tough time with binges. So this has been going on since your mother's womb, since you were in the mother's womb, and how many years after it were you alive that you ate meat and dairy coming from this standard American diet? This is when you binge and when you go back to meat and dairy. These things happen, I think, a lot of times because we get in here, we want to get so aggressive. And I just experienced this myself on a 14-day watermelon fast, or mostly watermelon fast. And yeah, after that, I maintained mucusless meals maybe 2 days. And after that, I kind of went into binge mode and had like spaghetti and some Mexican food. And this happens, and don't beat yourself up so much, because how many years have you been conditioned like a computer? It's like a program. And if you're just starting out, like if you start this diet when you're 25, 30 years old, and you've had all those years behind you, your brain has made a connection to this emotion from your senses, from your taste, your smell. When you think of pizza, when you think of pasta, your favorite comfort foods, that sedate you the most. This is where it's coming from. It's coming from all those years. So, if you're just in it like a year to 3 years in it, and you're going back and forth even to meat and dairy, even if you're doing that, then you know yourself what feels good and what doesn't in your body. If you feel bad after you was like a glutton with that pizza, it. So you're on the path. You just have cravings, and we can get through them. And it's just going to take time, and everybody's transition is different. Just because one person could go straight to mucus lean meals, but yet you're having a tough time, it's okay, because we're all different. And you know, we all have like different paths in this mucusless diet. We want to get light. We want to not have so much mucus in our bodies. So yeah, I just want to tell people to stay on track. If this path, if you're attracted to this path, if there's something about it that is calling out to you, then read the book, stay on it, and do the best that you can. If you want to get aggressive, but do know that if it wasn't your time to get that aggressive, 14-day fast or whatever it may be, then yes, expect a downfall, expect to bounce back. We just have to find balance along this transition. We have to find what works for us, what meals. You know, how many intermittent days do you want to do during the week that are like, maybe you shouldn't do 14 days fruit. Maybe your body needs two intermittent fruit days in the week, and then all the rest of the days, mucus lean options. Just try it out. I mean, I'm experimenting with myself, so I'm just doing the best that I can. And yeah, sometimes I am in modes where I want to get aggressive, where like I like that on that fast, you know, there are times where I want to do enemas and when I don't want to do enemas. Like the first 2 days I did enemas. The last day of that fast I did an enema, and it was like the best one. I guess because the fruit had loosened up so much mucus, and I felt great. But yeah, I haven't done one since that. But that's just me, that I'm trying, and it's my individual mucusless diet path, and I guess I'll figure out my body how I'm going to get there. So if you are attracted to this path, then keep reading it, stay on it, don't beat yourself up, because we are not vegan babies, or at least I wasn't. Our moms and dads didn't know. I mean, my mom and dad knew nothing about nutrition. I taught everything to myself. I grew up eating the worst foods, you know, McDonald's and donuts and whatever I was given, I ate. And so, you know, when I was a kid and I cried or whatever happened, and I took that food, that was the comfort, that was the, okay, here's a food, and then, okay, here's macaroni and cheese. So it's a process. I just want to touch on, it's a process that we have linked comfort in our brains with the mucus-forming foods, with the pizza, you know? So yeah, your caption for that picture I seen that you posted, the pizza, I was thinking in my head when I saw it, let me be thy comfort.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, so that's the caption. I thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay strong to the people practicing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that was so well put, so well said. Very, very nice story and experience. And that's the type of environment and community that I'm trying to build, is one that is not judgmental. We're not going to jump down people's throat when they have a relapse and they eat something, and it's not, because it's not about that. It's just about understanding, just like you said, everybody's different. Everybody's transition is going to be different. The operative word and the thing that binds us together is the transition. We're all on our own transition, and we want to get to these higher levels, but like you said, it's going to take different people, different speeds. You don't have to look at other people and say like, oh wow, I want to, like I wish that I could be there right now or whatever. It's just like I always did with Brother Air. I was less impressed with even though I was impressed with what he was doing in the moment, I was really impressed when I heard what he did to get to that. It was, a lot of people, they see Brother Air and they just know about the long fasting and stuff, but that was like the logical conclusion of 30 years of immense work and consistent transition, and that's the part that we're working on now, is really getting into our transitions. And so I thank you. Yeah, I was out like last night. I saw that at late night slice that that pizza. thing. And so yeah, so we're kind of wrapping up a little bit, and let's go to Celia. You have any last words or comments for everybody?
Oh, just that I'm so glad to talk with all of you, and I learned so much from all of you. I learned so much from you, Professor Spira, and listening to you and Brother Air. You're very inspiring and encouraging, and it's listening to you guys just to help get those nuances, like those nuances between all the words in the pages. And so yeah, I had to leave for a little bit, take my kids off to church, but I'm back, and so I didn't get to say goodbye. But
Mm.
yeah, just glad to know all of you guys, and look forward to getting to know you better, and just for us to encourage each other. We talked about our kids being influences on people. I know all of you guys, you're an influence in your realm of influence. You are making a difference. Y'all keep going.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us and all the support. You've always been a great supporter. Your wonderful comments and everything, and that inspires me. Is that lets me know that people are that there are people out there that find what we're doing valuable, and that's always nice. And so let's go to Tobin. So we got some final words from Tobin.
All right. Hey, I really enjoyed being here and seeing all you guys. And yeah, man, I really enjoying the transition. It's really coming along really well. And what Jamie was just talking about just reminded me of the song I just put out. And that was actually in my earlier days. I was writing that, and that's when I was really struggling on staying balance and transition, just like falling back and forth and just like going on these crazy binges. And so, yeah, I experienced that for a long time, and I mean, I still do, but it just gets better and better, like how I approach it, and how deep I go into it, and so that it's just a learning process. You just go through these phases, and it can be painful, and I've experienced that pain a lot. But it's just they're teachers, and they're going to teach us to grow and what we need in our transition, and also just trying to get my music. I'm trying to find a good studio to record. I'm trying to
Yeah, nice.
get in the mucusless hip hop out there for the world to hear, because I feel like the artists and the musicians of this community are gonna be a huge part of getting the word out and spreading the message, and so that's what I want to do, is get my kind of music, my vocals laced really nice, so people hear what I say, and they it sounds good. So yeah, man, I just glad to be doing this, man. It's very revolutionary, man. We're changing big time. I mean, I can feel changes all the time. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Yeah, I look forward to that, man. Yeah, the mucusless hip hop. Let's go. Like I said, the mucus-free arts movement, full effect, and we'll talk. We'll do another. The next one of these sessions will really get deep into the whole art piece and music, and I'll try to gather up a panel of a lot of the musicians and stuff, and we can get into that. But so yeah, so Israel, so you got some final thoughts?
Oh man, what can I say? I mean, it's been a wonderful discussion. I'm glad I came out of work an hour earlier to be here. And I mean, we just talked about so many things that I never imagined we will talk about. Like, someone commented on the link you shared for the meetup, and I don't remember who it was, but he said like, fruit and fasting. What else do you need to talk about? Like, I mean,
Right, right.
what else do we need to talk about? Like, listen to this, man. 3 hours of wisdom and experiences, transition, and I don't know, man. I respect all of you, and I see you all like my family, like the Mucusless family. I'm really proud of what we're doing, what you're doing, Spira. Like, having this community growing and growing and growing. It's something that is not easy, but it's definitely worth it. And this path is not gonna be easy. Every time it's gonna take you through ups and downs, like Jamie said. It's gonna it's, it's gonna bring you many things that you didn't even expect. Like, I myself, I wanna share that I had I've been working on the translation, and I don't know, like a month ago, someone entered my house like at 3 or 4 a.m. and took many material stuff, including my laptop. So I don't know, man. Like, in those times, whoever you talk to is not gonna understand the situation. Like, he or she doesn't have that perspective. And when I talked to you and you told me about like those negative forces trying to reach you and like not letting you do what you want, that's what I that's what I needed to hear, because that's what was on my mind. So I don't know, man. Like, this is something profound, and like Brother Eric has said before, we don't really know how profound this thing is until we start experiencing and doing the woodwork. And I'm glad to have you all as family and community, and I'm glad you could arrange this meeting. It was a wonderful time for me. Thank you, Spira. Thank
Yeah,
you, everyone.
yeah,
Very
yeah. Thank you for those great words, man. And I definitely look forward, man. It's gonna be. I mean, things are gonna get real interesting, man, when we
Yeah.
have because the Spanish speaking world is ready. I've seen it. they like
Oh
they
yeah.
they want this information bad, and so
Yeah,
I'm
man.
looking.
And I didn't give up on like, I'm still on the group, the Spanish speaking group, but
Hmm.
it doesn't even compare to what you got going on in the English speaking community. Like, they post pictures of how to make your own cheese, and they're focusing on eggs, like how do you peel eggs, and like I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm ready to do some deep work and share some of what we gotta say. And as I know, I mean, my English is not that good. Like, I can write it, but when it comes to speaking, I'm not like that. I don't flow that much when it comes to the English language. But in Spanish, man, I'm gonna be all over the place. Get ready. I'm
Yeah,
coming. I'm
man.
coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's
I'm
good.
ready.
I'm good to hear that. I mean, you sound great to me in English, but I see, yeah, but I know when you're in your
Yeah,
language,
I'm
you're comfortable with it.
exactly, man. That's right.
Yeah.
And like, I'm grateful because I know two languages and you can at least understand what I'm saying. And like, I'm grateful to have had an education to be able to write it and communicate with all of you guys. But when it comes to expressing myself, like with as I do with the Spanish language, it doesn't compare. Like, I'm limited. I have a limitation when it comes to words, vocabulary, grammar, and in Spanish. Oh man,
Yeah, yeah,
those people, those practitioners better get ready because we're coming. It's gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
alright.
yeah, yeah. I like to hear
Put,
that.
put on your seatbelts.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely.
For
And
sure.
so Tiva, you got
Well,
any? Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much, Professor Spira, for putting out this information and making it accessible to everybody, because back in 2010, I saw Eric's book, and it was hard for me to read at first, but I was able to, I read through it, your version, and it's like, wow, it's pretty good. It saved my life, and I really feel like it's saving my daughter's life. And I know that's a bit extreme to say, but it really isn't. I was so sick when I first started this journey almost a year ago, and now I'm much better. I'm still on it, and I'm working very hard, but I'm a lot better than when I first came on the path. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you all, because the group is a great place for me to read up and learn about what other practitioners are doing and just get in the mindset of it all. And it's a great support community. So thank you all very much. Every ripple that we make is beautiful, and I truly believe that it will save a lot of other people who are suffering. And for me, just the number one thing to have is compassion and love, because I try and help my family, or just suggest and make food meals, and I guess introduce the information. And there's a lot of people that don't know why they're sick. So just having the compassion and love that you all have, and moving forward with that in our hearts and our minds, is of the utmost importance. And that way we won't ever get discouraged and never stray off the path. And I was having a really hard time this past year because I was depressed about my whole life situation, and it was more also because of my health, but also because of not being able to do things like to work and other stuff, and that financial burden was pretty hard on me. But there were only two things that really made me feel good, and first of all was music. That was my outlet. That was my doorway to God, to spirituality. And the second was this diet, this lifestyle, correcting myself. But it was this lifestyle, because every day that I'm on this path and I eliminate and my movements get regular and I see my skin clearing up and I'm losing the weight, I feel like my mind is also clear and my heart is more full. So it's helped me so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for for sharing and joining us. And like I said, this definitely has been to me a historical discussion, just to be able to have a discussion with mothers that practice a mucusless diet like this. And it's something that I'd like to see a lot more, and this thing's just so important. And so definitely thank you. And see, I think I think Brittany is, I'm not sure if she's still in earshot or not. I think she had to go and take care of her children. And so yeah, so it has it's been a privilege, been wonderful. Of course, I know we could all probably sit here and talk for another, who knows, another 3 hours, but we'll leave something on the table for later on. And I want to do another one of these soon, and actually have some new people on the panel, and you just want to try to keep this up, because I think it's important to have these conversations and have them be public where people can access them, and be able to really see what this is all about. That people are really doing this, people are living like this and getting into this level of consciousness, and it's important for people to be exposed to it and know that it's going on. So yeah, if there's nothing else, I normally I'd be putting on some music right about now, but I couldn't find my cord to put my little iPod in. So I don't know. I could probably play my keyboard, but no. I'll do a little exit. Like I'll do some exit chords. But yeah. So this is the book we've been talking about. Professor Honorarius Mucusless Diet Healing System, annotated, revised, and edited by Professor Spira, and it's been out. I guess almost little over 6 months when I officially released it back in November, and it's been a lot of positive feedback, and it's just been really, really exciting to have something to be able to put something in people's hands that I know they're going to understand. Like if they give it a chance and they read through it, whether they agree with it or not, it's not about agreeing with it right the first time you read it. You don't have to agree with, especially the philosophies, you don't have to agree with everything, but allow it to expand your mind, and maybe you think about things a little different. But as long as the principles are understood and you have a basis to sort of a jumping off point and a platform to say, okay, well, let me try this and try that, and then you can go to the group and talk to people in the videos. There's a lot of resources now that weren't available back in the day. And one of the reasons I was so inspired to do this was just because I made it a point to study all aspects of the diet, and especially people that practice the diet. And I noticed that I sort of had, from picking brother Ayer's brain and all these other practitioners that I knew in Cincinnati, and then once I got online, I was talking to so many people. I just kind of amassed this repository of information that of all these different people's experiences, and I started to understand and see the gaps in people's the common mistakes people made, or the common issues that were there. And so I was like, okay, well, let me try to address some of these things and make this process clearer. And so that's what I hope I was able to do with the annotated version. And I always wanted to it wasn't about trying to like rewrite the book or something, as I know there's some people that say, oh, well, that's sacrilegious, just the original text. And I don't tell, I say, hey, read the original too. Hey, you should have all that. But this version is definitely hits on and covers some things that a lot of people answers a lot of questions, and I think is I'm just trying to support what what Eric is saying and give a little bit more context, and so then I definitely again, I appreciate everybody participating. This has been a wonderful session, and it's just great. It's 10 years ago, if you had told, I know some of the older practitioners, if you'd have told them that there would be these online discussions where you'd have 10 people talking about the diet on this level at once, they'd have just looked at you sideways, like, really, are you serious? But it's happening, and it's not going to stop, and because there's too many people that are seeing the benefit of it, and what happens is we're having people coming from both angles. We have the people that tried raw foods and tried the more extreme approaches with no transition, and they're like, well, that didn't work, and then they're saying, well, let's, instead of going all the way back, let's check out the transition diet and see what we can do with that. Then we have the people that are coming from standard American diets or standard, I don't know, we need another, so it's not so American centric, we need another word, standard world diet, standard mucus diets or something, but that's coming from that reality. And then they get to a point where they're just tired, they're tired of the mucus problems and the allergies and the skin problems, and they just, at a certain point, you get tired of that. You get tired of the medicines, and when you see that there are people that are healing those things, getting over those things naturally, then it kind of makes you want to check it out. And so we got a lot of people coming up from that angle as well. So yeah, So this has been a privilege. It's been great, and yeah, look forward to talking with y'all again real soon. And peace, love, and breath.
Thank you, Spira.
Thank you. Bye,
Yes.
everybody.
Been a pleasure.